win to take them on to 14. Then that leaves a straight shootout between Yorkshire on 15, Leicestershire on 14, and Leicestershire might be able to pip them.
Adam, thank you very much. Just to my left-hand side now is the Leicestershire head coach Paul Nixon. Nico, very good evening to you. We'll get onto the game shortly, but there's a presentation that's just going to happen, and it's just happened, and you've been handing out some very, very special items to some of your key players tonight.
Yeah, good evening, everyone at home. Yeah, special night. We've awarded Callum Parkinson, our captain of the 4-day game, his county cap. We talk about having Gold Fox standards, and Parky's had a great journey from Lancashire. He's had to come away from home, he's had to sacrifice a lot, and obviously went to Derby, made inroads, and then we got him here. And when I first arrived, they talked about a great leader and a guy that wears his heart on his sleeve. He's honest, he's straight, he's competitive, he wants to get better every day, and he drives standards, and that's exactly what we're about. And tonight we celebrate it, and it's a huge feather in your cap. You always believe yourself you can do it, but actually when you receive a county cap, you actually realise that everybody else thinks that as you as well. It's crazy to sound, but everybody always remembers the county cap, and Parker still deserved it. And also we've awarded Naveen his county cap as well, who we've never done that before at a white ball contract, purely because the way he is, Gold Fox standards. Every day in the nets he works hard, every day tries to get better, every day he looks at a new ball or something to create, every day helps our bowlers. The chats, the commitment that he gives us on a daily basis, his standards are high class. We're delighted that the Claude and him have been chatting as well about contracts and next year, so I'm sure the club will talk about that. But great men, and we just rewarded in front of a nice crowd at home, and we're delighted for them.
You say it's one of those days that you always remember, and he will always remember that one. Naveen almost didn't get his cap because he was stood at the wrong end of the line.
Yeah, he's always getting it, don't worry. But, yeah, legend. I mean, what his journey has been, none of us could imagine. Afghanistan and the difficulties the people and families have had over the past few years, we can't comprehend it. And himself and Nabi and the guys around the world who are playing cricket now, everybody in cricket respects how they go about the business and what they do. And for us, Nav's a leader. He's a leader, and look what he's doing. He's the leading competition. I think he's about 50 now in the last couple of years, which is mind blowing. Yeah,
he could get his 50th wicket, I think, tonight. Richard, is that right?
Yeah, he's on 49 now, I think. So yeah, well, ideally get 51, 52, 53. I mean, especially one early, Chris Lynn. The pitch looks still a little bit in the pitch, maybe.
Yeah, we'll try to take as much grass off as we can. We'll try to see if there's a little bit of hold in the wicket. It'll be interesting to see. It had a bit, obviously, it was a bit of rain around the last 15, 18 hours. So let's see how it plays. We want it to just hold a little bit. Andy's been amazing yet again. The ground looks in great nick. Still white patches. The outfield will be quick. Huge boundary one side, slightly smaller towards Milligan Road. So strong breeze. As two Leicester Foxes come across the ground, Ben Smith, batting coach, and John Sadler. Obviously, Sad's ex-Leicester Fox was obviously was instrumental as well when we talked to Callum years ago to get Callum to come from Derbyshire. So, yeah. Foxes everywhere tonight.
There always is, which is always brilliant. Nico, thank you very much. Best of luck this evening.
Thank you.
That's Paul Nixon joining us live on BBC Radio Leicester ahead of T20 Blast action here at Grace Road. We're now, it's almost like a conveyor belt tonight, Richard. They're just being brought along to us, which is absolutely brilliant.
Not many are carrying a cap like that, though. So
no, they're not. And I'm just looking down at it. It's absolutely brilliant emerald green with a gold fox, just a white tip on the tail as well. Callum Parkinson, what's the number on the back? 466 on the back. Absolutely fantastic. Congratulations. What does that cap mean to you?
Yeah, it means everything. I joined the club as a young man, and they've helped me in my journey from obviously a youngster to I'm 25 years old now, and hopefully entering my prime. So feel very humbled, very grateful. There's been a lot of people come and go in my time at the club, coaches and players, and to receive this, accolation is massive.
Paul Nixon was just speaking there about how that you always think you can get a county cap. As a player growing up, it's one of those goals that you aim for, but it's only on the day that you get it you realise that other people think you deserve the county cap as well. Is that how you're feeling right now?
Yeah, definitely. It's something that you work really hard for. You never really set your goals on, but it's something in the distant future that you think is attainable, and I kind of see it as a recognition of the hard work I've put in, the contributions I'm still trying to make moving forward to hopefully move this club forward to the place where it should be.
The word leadership, Richard, often comes up about Parky, and he just said he's 25 years old, and I suppose it's to be 25 years old and be a leader in a dressing room, in a changing room. That's actually quite a young age, isn't it? But I suppose that's kind of testament to what's being built here at Grace Road.
Yeah, I sometimes forget how young I am. I've played quite a lot of cricket now, and obviously my hairline's gone back since I first signed, which is the obvious, but like I said, it's a privilege to play for this club. I love every minute, I love every game that we have. I want to win every game, and like I said in the last bit, I want to take this club forward. I want to win trophies, and hopefully tonight's the start of a push for finals day.
And that's where it all starts, I suppose, tonight. The best way to mark that kind of celebration would be a nice score with a bat and then a few wickets as well.
Yeah, I actually just said to Naveen then we're going to get whacked tonight, me and you. But hopefully we can both put in a good performance. Celebrate a special night with a win.
Parky, thank you very much for joining us on BBC Radio Leicester. Callum Parkinson there on 104.9 FM DAB, and of course on the BBC Sounds app and Sport website and app. Very, very grounded young man there, Richard, and someone that's going to be instrumental tonight and on Sunday for this Leicestershire side.
He's the future of the club, really. He's the present and the future of the club, and like he said, he's seen huge turnover in players, and in the relatively short time he's been here now, 5 years I think Parky's been here now, and I've seen a huge amount of change in him, and he's matured extraordinarily in that time, and he's a very, very fine cricketer now. He thinks he might get whacked. I don't think so. This is going to be his sort of pitch, so it's going to be very interesting to see how they get on tonight, but they've got to give him something to bowl at first, he and Nav. So and it's a special thing for Naveen as well. I've not seen a white ball cap awarded in that way before tonight, so that's a really big deal, and it's a really big gesture by the club as well. I'm sure he appreciates it.
I'm sure he does. You're listening to BBC Radio Leicester Sport. Owen Palmer-Atkin with you alongside Richard Ray and your other half of your commentary team, Adam Whitty, of course, right here on BBC Radio Leicester. Adam, I suppose it's important to have that consistency, and it's important to build on that momentum, of course, but where are the key areas for Leicestershire tonight that you think we need to aim at, particularly on the boundary as well? As Nico was saying, one relatively smaller boundary and one absolutely huge one away to your right hand side.
Yeah, it is huge, that one on the right out towards the popular stands, you're correct. For me, it's consistency across the team. It is a 40 over performance with bat and ball. That is still what we have not seen so far from the Foxes. They've either, and it's mostly been the bowlers that have dug them out of a hole, or it's been once or twice the batters putting in a decent performance. But I think we need to see a full performance against a team like Northamptonshire. Let's not forget, these are two of their rivals in the competition. They're two teams of quality, and they need to be able to put a performance with bat and ball together if they're going to do it. That's really what they need to work on. They've got a bowling team that is worthy of getting them into finals day, no problem. They haven't got a batting lineup at the moment that is capable of getting them 200 runs. They haven't got, as we were discussing pre-match, and they haven't got somebody capable of coming in and guaranteeing a 50, of guaranteeing a sure fight. They certainly haven't got someone at the moment that looks like they can score 100, and that means that if somebody gets 100, somebody gets 220, 230, you're 90% of the way to victory. Leicestershire don't have that. They're always working. They always have to work really hard for their victories, and so they just need to make it a little bit easier for themselves.
Classic Leicestershire, of course, but Adam, talk me through Northants and the kind of expectations that they will have this evening, and what Leicestershire can expect, particularly with the bowling first up.
Well, we've talked win or bust about Leicestershire. This is win or bust for Northamptonshire as well. They were, dead certs for the quarterfinals, absolute dead certs. They were second for a long time, but 4 games without victory and no result, and then 3 losses in a row at the vital time have really put them under a huge amount of pressure, and have probably made it unlikely that they will make it through 13 games for 14 points they are, but they have some incredible batting talent. Richard mentioned that they're batting heavy. Chris Lynn, Australian batter, absolutely destructive, hit a century against Leicestershire at Wantage Road. It was brutal stuff. He was joined by Jimmy Neesham, very popular, very charismatic New Zealander who plays well with bat and ball. He's a brilliant one-day player too. But then you have the likes of Curran, Cobb, Keogh, Zaib, who's in form at the moment. Those players are very solid, if not probably a little bit better than solid T20 players, and they're able to put together really decent partnerships. They're destructive, but they can also play pretty sensibly as well. They've got a really solid batting lineup. The weakness is probably their bowling. They still do have, and Richard mentioned Ben Sanderson, who is the key threat for them. Bowls very steadily, but very, very.
Just 5 minutes away, Adam, from what could be, as you say, do or die for both of these sides. So do you expect to see do or die performances from both of these sides tonight, or maybe is it going to be a little bit careful?
I don't think you can afford to be careful in T20. I know why you asked that question, because I think it's certainly a possibility that either team could come out and be a little bit nervy and a little bit unsure of themselves. But because of that batting lineup, I think Leicestershire will know they have to set a target. They will know they have to. They can sometimes be very disappointing performances along the way. So let's hope that they play without fear today.
Well, we will, again, as you say, Adam, have to wait and see whether there will be no fear for this Leicestershire side here at Grace Road this evening and live on BBC Radio Leicester as we bring you live T20 blast action for the final 2 games of this competition in the group stages, and they will both come, of course, across the weekend, starting tonight against Northamptonshire Steelbacks for Leicestershire. The beginning of this match not too far away, as we've already been mentioning, and it is, as Adam says, do or die. Lose tonight and Leicestershire can say goodbye to this competition and goodbye to a place in the quarterfinals, goodbye to a place possibly at finals day. They could win this game and they could still keep that dream alive heading into the final match of the group stages on Sunday, and you'll hear it all live here on BBC Radio Leicester. We are, as a reminder, only on 104.9 FM with you on your FM radios until 7 o'clock tonight. We are live throughout the evening on DAB, on your digital radio, and on the BBC Sounds app, plus the BBC Sport website and app as well. So if you want to stay with us throughout the whole night interrupted, then head over to your DAB radio or get the BBC Sounds app now and just find BBC Radio Leicester and you'll find us right there, because at 7 o'clock we are going to be splitting our frequencies, and Hurdle White will be back with you, the man, the myth, the legend, with his brilliant reggae, Caribbean and soca music programme here on BBC Leicester. And with that, as the players start to make their way out onto the playing surface, I'm going to hand to your match day commentary team for full commentary of Leicestershire versus Northamptonshire Steelbacks in the T20 Blast. To take you through it, Adam Whitty and Richard Ray.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you, Rowan, rather.
Thank you,
I'm joined by Richard.
Cheers, Richard.
What a cracking start. There we go. Good afternoon. Welcome to Grace Road. It's the sunny skies here up in this part of Leicester in Ayleston as we welcome. We've been discussing do or die for quite some time. The past 5 matches have been do or die for Leicestershire. They are still breathing with 2 to go. They play Northamptonshire, who, for them, it's win or bust either after a horrible run of form that has taken them from dead certs to probably missing out on a place in the quarterfinals. If they win, they will have done all they can do. Should they lose, that is it for them, although that is the case for the Foxes today. There's a guard of honour down below us with school children waving some Leicestershire flags, some cheerleaders holding up a big Leicestershire flag too. We are ready and waiting for the big entrance, and probably the big talking point, Richard, as the umpires make their way out onto the field, is where the pitch is. There is one huge boundary off to our right, the leg side to the right-hander, and then a very short boundary to our left.
Yeah, the Milligan Road side of the ground looks probably about 60 yards, maybe 65 at the very most, maybe just 60 actually, and the other side closer to 80. So Leicestershire will have laid their plans accordingly, one feels. That said, denizens of the Geary Bar will have to be aware there is a net in front of them, but I anticipate 1 or 2 hits bouncing down Milligan Road tonight. The 2 umpires, Richard Illingworth and Russell Warren, are out in the middle. Northamptonshire in their sort of Barcelona style maroon and navy striped shirts. Navy trousers are out there too, and the two Leicestershire opening batsmen, Lewis Hill and Nick Welsh, heading out into the middle. It's not often Nick Welsh is the taller of the two batters, but he is tonight.
Yes, Lewis Hill, who has pretty much played in every single position so far for Leicestershire in the top 7, and so his stats, 169 runs in 11 innings, doesn't tell us the whole story. He's opened, but he's had to come in and biff, hasn't he, at number 7. He's had to come and try and smack it around. He's come in with his team 30 for 3. Coming in at number 5, he's been vital to Leicestershire. He's offered that versatility that they will have needed throughout this campaign. He would have thought, it's a difficult one, isn't it? He would have wanted possibly a right and a left-hander for this power play because of that short boundary that you will always have it on the leg side. That's not what they've got, unfortunately. So we will wait for Lewis Hill and Nick Welsh to get going. Starting us off from the pavilion end, this near side as we see it, high up in the commentary box at Grace Road. It's
Josh.
Is that Josh Cobb? I thought it was Josh Cobb. He turned round away from me just as he was
recognisable to Leicestershire supporters, of course, but also because he's favouring these turquoise boots this season.
Yes. So here we go then. Nice crowd in tonight. Very healthy crowd. That's Cobb. Bowls the first delivery of this innings. Oh, there's a bit of spin there. And a bit of bounce too. It's spat up off the surface, first delivery from Cobb, just outside off stump, and it's Welsh facing, who just plays it down into the ground. Yeah,
they've shorn it. It should turn for Parky.
Here comes Cobb again. And this is straight. Played straight back to Cobb by Welsh. Conservative start so far. The 2 men on the boundary that you're allowed in the opening 6 overs are down straight on the leg side, deep mid wicket and long on. Cobb tosses this one up and he goes for it big, Welsh, and that's 6. It's a huge 6 actually, absolutely massive. I wasn't sure he got a hold of it at first, but it went straight over mid off and well over long off all the way into the crowd. Probably went about 6 or 7 rows back.
Dangerously close to the players' car park, actually.
Oh, you're right.
It sounded a little bit metallic, whatever it hit over there. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, the players' car park just down to our left-hand side here. There will be some fears of a dent there, but hopefully they have survived. Big hit from Welsh, and for that reason he's now coming round the wicket to try and take away the offside. So he's going to try and bowl it across him, try and force him to play it out into the leg side. Here is Cobb up to the wicket. He bowls and he does just that, and Welsh can only play it down the ground. And there is a single. Clever bowling by Cobb. 7 for no loss.
Soared miles out there, and it's windy from that end. The wind's coming down that end, but goodness me, that didn't put a huge amount into the blow, but it went miles.
Started well. 11 against Notts for Welsh, but 41 and 37 in the 2 previous innings since he came into the team, since Hamish Rutherford left and Scott Steele was left out of the team. Lewis Hill on strike. Diminutive figure, really open stance as Cobb comes round the wicket, bowls it down onto leg stump, and it's clipped away into the leg side. They're going to look for 2 here. No, they've been sent back. Welsh sends Hill back. Hill was scampering, wasn't he, to one side to try and get through for the 2. Certainly worth suggesting to the Northampton players that might be the option. Penultimate
45, 50 off it. That'd be a decent start. Nick Welsh takes strike against possibly the key bowler for Northamptonshire, Ben Sanderson. Sheffield man. Been very, very effective. Effective in all forms, but especially in the T20 this year. Comes in and bowls, just turns his wrists on it. Welsh scampers down to the non-striker's end, having pushed it into the onside. Another former Leicestershire player, Tom Taylor, closes on the ball from mid-wicket. Welsh takes one and indicates to Hill that was seam back in from the right-hand seamer. Experienced man, Ben Sanderson, 34 I think he is now. Waits while Hill looks around him, sees that a slip has been placed already. Ben Curran is in there at slip alongside Lewis McManus. Sanderson bowls, and again it seems back in a little bit. Hill looking to push it on the offside, hits the inside part of the bat, drops down in front of him towards the Yorkshireman, who runs in to pick it up, marches back towards his mark.
Interesting to see how Hill goes about this, Richard, because when he's opened before, he's gone for ramps and scoops, hasn't he, and tried to flick it and time it.
Not sure it's that sort of pitch this time. Might just have to work it a little bit more. Big gaps on the on side at the moment as Sanderson goes in. Hill is going for the scoop. He scooped it up towards McManus, didn't get anything on it, came off the pad, looped to McManus, who caught it and then hurled on the bounce and hurled it at the stumps, but Hill had got back into his ground. It all went a little bit crazy. McManus back on the ground of his infamy. 10 without loss, Leicestershire. Leicestershire supporters won't need telling. A reminding about that little incident when Lewis McManus was keeping wicket for Hampshire. Northamptonshire supporters listening on the stream might be less familiar with it. In goes Sanderson, bowls a bouncer, hooked by Hill, top edge, just over short fine leg. Heldrick leapt into the end. He's a tall young man, couldn't get there, went over his head and bounced down to fine leg stroke long leg for 4. A little bit fortunate. Didn't get all of it by a long way, but got enough of it, just. Lewis Hill moves on to 5, 14 without loss.
Should we give him the benefit of the doubt, certainly on the placement of the shot? He got what he needed in terms of being over the head. I bet it going fine, but I don't think he got exactly what he would have wanted to on it.
Curran comes out of slip, goes in at mid-wicket. In goes Sanderson, Hill down the wicket, swing and a miss. Taken by McManus behind the stumps, trying to loft it, sort of short arm slog really, over straight mid-wicket. Wide mid-on, down towards the hospitality marquee in front of the Melton family stand. Down there at the Bennett end of Grace Road. Sun is out now. We are set for a fine evening and the forecast is good as well. We had a lot of rain earlier. As Sanderson comes in, bowls to Hill again. It seems back in. He's appealing for leg before, but it's a rather plaintive appeal that isn't really echoed by any of his teammates. McManus raised his right gauntlet, but in hope rather than expectation. End of the over. Pretty good one, as ever, from Ben Sanderson. 5 runs from it. Leicestershire after 2 overs are 14 without loss.
Yeah, I was worried we weren't going to get the game on today, Richard, but we have got pretty sunny skies above us. It's hot and humid in Ayleston. The sun down to our right, just setting away.
I was trying to remember if I'd covered a season when Leicestershire didn't lose at least 1, usually 2 games of T20 to the weather, and I can't remember one. This is the first season. The forecast for Sunday is good as well, so looks like it's going to be the first for some time that going to play every game. That obviously hasn't been the case for Northamptonshire, and it's been cruel for Northamptonshire as well. They were rained off at Worcester. Again, they would have expected to have won, and they were well on top at Nottinghamshire at the halfway stage, or close to the halfway stage of that game.
The ex-Leicestershire man, Tom Taylor, will bowl from the pavilion end. He's up to the wicket, bowls, and that's glanced down by Welsh, trying to just play it late behind square. But there's 2 men, a backward point and a man sort of a short third man.
Ground filling up nicely now.
It's a really nice crowd tonight. You'll be able to hear probably in our effects microphone the chants of Leicestershire, la la la. Change for Northamptonshire. Freddie Heldrick, by the way, playing in this. Moves on to 15. The score 20 for none.
Lovely pick-up by Nick Welsh.
Really great stroke, that. I'm surprised. I suppose he's playing against the field, really. That was away towards the big boundary. That's a 6 anywhere. Taylor, driven, cover 4. Wells getting onto that quickly, leaning into it. It was more of an orthodox cover drive, and he found the gap. And there's a man out at deep point, but he was not going to get that because it was to the short boundary this time. 6 and a 4 off Taylor, and Welsh moves on now to 19, and the score on to 24 for no loss.
Again, hitting through the line of the ball.
There might be
nowhere near the pitch of it, but didn't matter.
No. There might be a couple. There's a couple of Northamptonshire players that the Leicestershire fans might fancy a few comments to today. I suggest Tom Taylor is one of them. As he runs away from us now, bowls. Oh, and this is edged, but if there was a slip in there, he probably would have been on his way, but there's only the short third man, so single is taken from Welsh. He was beaten by that from Taylor, and gets away with it. 25 for no loss, Welsh on to 20.
Again, a little bit in the pitch for him.
Yeah, Taylor played for Leicestershire. Was it 3 seasons? I think came here from Derbyshire initially, and
was injured a lot of the time, Tom. But you know, they desperately wanted to keep him, and they were very disappointed when he left.
In he comes now. He bowls. Oh, that's beaten outside off stump by Hill. Beats the outside edge. Hill dangling the bat at it. Getting anywhere near it, so no run, 25 for no loss. A good thing for Leicestershire's perspective really is they've got enough runs from this over. But, a nice 4 maybe to finish it would be lovely. Taylor, blonde haired, tall man, tall and thin. Collects the ball in his right hand. It's the crowd, they always get into those little games, the crowd here at Leicestershire, more than anywhere else. Yeah, the music going on in the background as Taylor goes in, bowls, and that's flashed, hit high up in the air. That should go over the field. Or is he going to be caught? Oh, he's dropped! He's dropped it short, third man. It was a tricky chance. The ball would have been swirling in the air, and the man there has dropped it. Almost fell through him as he had to run backwards, then turn back on himself and dive forward to catch it, and it dribbled through his fingers. And there's a let-off for Hill. They get 2 from that in the end, and the score at the end of the third over, 27 for no loss. This is not a bad start to the power play, Richard, in terms of runs conceded, but they are living a bit of a chance life, the pair of them, Welsh and Hill.
I guess you expect that, and it was a tricky one. He was running backwards from short third, and it was swirling a little bit in the air, but even so, he'd got there, and he'd be hugely disappointed not to have hung on. Wicket's so important in the power play. You know, the stats prove it. You lose 3 in the power play, and you struggle usually to recover. The odds then suggest that you will go on, or you may well go on to lose the game.
But 9 and over is pretty handy, isn't it?
A decent start, 27 without loss. Scoreboard, a decent start anyway. Welsh 20 off 10, Hill 7 off 8. Welsh on strike then as Jimmy Neesham comes in from the Bennett end and bowls to him outside off stump, flashed away through the offside. He did rather put that one in the slot there, Neesham, and Welsh stepped out and cracked it away, was able to get on top of the bounce. It was almost a half volley, and a little bit of a gift, especially with no one on the offside boundary, no sweeper on the offside. The 2 men out are at square leg, and third man Heldrick down there just blowing on his hands, but that was right up Welsh's street.
I quite like the fact that they are somewhat calling Northamptonshire's bluff on the long boundary. Welsh is not really discriminating between either side.
Neesham is in and bowls again. It's full, hit hard down into the ground, bounces up towards Taylor, who picks it up, doesn't manage to pick it up at the first attempt, threatens, makes as though to sort of tries to sell a dummy to the batters almost by still pretending to throw, but it actually had gone a few feet behind him. Welsh and Hill realised that and went through for the run anyway. So curious little episode really. Taylor looks maybe a little bit nervous coming back to his older county. 32 without loss.
Yeah, that was a very strange piece of play.
Neesham is in and bowls. Hitting across the line is Hill, not hitting across the line because he didn't connect. It was about 10 inches, a foot outside off stump. He tried to whack it away over mid-wicket again, missed it actually by quite a long way.
It reminded me, I don't know if you saw the video of Mitchell, the New Zealand player, who jokingly took a catch to fool the crowd, launched it up into the air, it fell behind him, and the England batters were able to run through for a single.
I didn't?
Yes, in the New Zealand test, I think the second test.
Not sure that was entirely in the spirit of the game by the England batters. In goes Neesham, bowls. Hill goes stepping across and lofts it, amps it down to fine leg. He meant every moment of that one. If the hook in the previous over from the Bennett end wasn't quite right, he stepped right across, and Neesham tried to accommodate for that, but he still bowled a length delivery, so Hill was able, having stepped across outside off stump, to get underneath it and lift it down over short fine leg for 4, and it wasn't that far from being a 6. Chris Lynn is the man at short fine. The runs continue to flow. 36 without loss. Neesham is in. Hill's going to try and repeat it, and is going to repeat it, and for 6 as well this time. Well, Neesham looks nonplussed, stands in the middle of the pitch. Hill walks down calmly and touches gloves with Welsh, but having played the ball before just to get himself into the feel of it, able to do so again even more effectively second time. And now, as everybody's waving at, look, Neesham looks a bit angry now. He's waving at the man on the square leg boundary, telling him to go down too long leg. There's one or two gestures going on out there between the Northamptonshire players at the moment. 42 without loss, the Foxes. Heck of a start, best so far. In goes Neesham, bowls. Hill pulls across the line again, but this time without stepping across, and misses. So missed one, hit a 4, hit a 6, missed another one. 42 without loss after 4, Leicestershire.
That would probably have been better for a cut shot, but still they had enough runs from the over anyway. 15 off that Jimmy Neesham over, 2 4s, a 6 and a single. Have put them in a really decent position. Going in over 10 and over is a very solid start to the power play. As you mentioned, Richard, we haven't seen them start this well in the campaign so far. We've seen far too often Leicestershire 2-3 wickets down, going at about to run a ball in the power play, which just isn't good enough and doesn't set you a good enough platform. Well, they have already bombed on to 40 off 4 overs. Run rate of 10.5 and over. And they've brought Ben Sanderson in to try and plug the gap and stop the flow of runs. 26 on his back, tall man, brown hair. Bounds in now, he's up to the wicket bowls, and late glance from Welsh, and they run through for a single as the ball goes to the third man. It's Chris Lynn, I think it might be at short third man. I think it was him who dropped the chance as well. It was in the previous over. It was a difficult one, thick edge, it was swirling in the air, would have been spinning around, but still an opportunity for Northamptonshire, who are in dark navy and red shirts, navy trousers. Leicestershire all in green as Sanderson bowls. A full delivery is dug out just about by Hill. Good Yorker from Sanderson, who saw Hill moving across the leg side to try and drive it through to the short boundary on the offside, but his drive was unsuccessful. But if he hadn't got any bat on ball, his stumps would have been castled.
Sanderson, the top wicket taker for Northamptonshire in the competition so far this season, with 15. Tom Taylor 14. Freddie Heldrick 13. So no outstanding, nobody's over 20 yet, but it's been a sort of all-round performance.
So Welsh moves across his stumps and whips this away behind square. They will try and get 2 as the ball goes to fine leg. They're going to scamper through. The throw comes in, but it's out to the long boundary down there at fine leg. So the throw took a long time to come in. 2 runs to that from Welsh, who is not bothered about whether there's a short and long boundary. He's almost looking to call Northamptonshire's bluff on that. That's where the 2 men on the boundary are at the moment, on deep mid-wicket and deep backward square leg. There are gaps on the offside, but you would think Sanderson will be bowling straight as Welsh bats he's almost on off stump there as the ball goes through. It goes through him. He tried to hoist it towards deep mid-wicket. And there is no run. 46 for no loss. There's 2 balls left in the over.
Lovely change of pace from Sanderson.
It's a very, very good bowler. 3 for 30 in the match at Wantage Road, which Northamptonshire won quite comfortably by 42 runs. It was a devastating bit of batting from Chris Lynn. Got 100. Jimmy Neesham 75. As Sanderson comes in, full toss, whip round the corner for 4. That's a poor delivery from Sanderson, who has ruined all the pressure he had built up. He bowled some really nice stuff, mixing up his lines and lengths and his pace, but he bowled a full delivery, full bunger on the hips, which was nicely turned around the corner by Welsh for 4 runs. And this is going swimmingly at the moment for them. 32 and 32 for Welsh. The 50 is up. Welsh 32 from 16, going with a strike rate of 200. Sanderson bustles in. It's quite a short run up. He bowls another full toss, and it's pulled round the corner for at least 4. It will be 1 bounce 4, and surely a no ball 2. Yes, the right arm is raised horizontally by the umpire to signal a no ball, and 4 runs given. So Leicestershire will get another go at that. Sanderson has.
Well, I've just been praising him to the skies, and he's bowled 2 horrid deliveries.
Yeah. Well, he built up so much pressure, as we mentioned, and it was only 4 runs from the previous 4 balls, but then 2 deliveries, which will end up being 3 now, which have garnered 9 runs. 56 for no loss. Sanderson bowls. This one's a better Yorker, and it's driven, well stopped, diving to the left by mid off. Josh Cobb it was, showing a nice bit of athleticism. That's the end of the over, and a lot off it in the end. It was a slow start. 15 again off it. This is great stuff from Leicestershire. 57 for no loss with 5 overs gone, and we spoke, Richard, didn't we, about the need for the batters to put in a solid performance to start to be able to hit scores like 200. Now, we're a long way from that just yet, but they're on course for it at the moment. 6 overs gone, 57 for no loss.
It has been, as we've been saying, the Foxes' best power play of the competition so far.
And we've still got an over left.
We have, and it's going to be bowled by, I think it's going to be Heldrick's going to come on, and it's going to be Graham White who's going to try a little bit of spin. They would have been, I think, Northamptonshire preferring to keep him back until he has a little bit more cover, but such has been the Foxes' start. I think they may be introducing him an over earlier. In he comes with his left arm spin from the Bennett end. It's fullish and driven hard into the ground by Nick Welsh, but White dives away to his left to make the stop successfully. 57 remains the score. Heldrick is warming up now at a short fine leg, so he may bowl the next over from the pavilion end. In goes White and bowls. Down the wicket goes Welsh. White sees him coming and drags his length back. Welsh works it out, drives it out to mid-off, who hurls at the stumps at the non-strikers end. The throw misses. Welsh had probably made his ground anyway. It's well backed up, just the single. Welsh moves on to 38, 58 without loss. Hill relatively subdued despite hitting that 4 and 6. The previous over from the Bennett end, looks around him, sees the men out at mid-wicket and backward square leg as White is in. He makes room for himself. Hill looks to stroke it away, gets a bit of a thick inside edge. It trickles out towards wide mid-on. Cobb runs around to pick up. Single taken. Good over so far from Graham White. Just a couple of runs from the first 3 balls.
He reads the batters so well. He's sort of adjudged their movements and what they're going to do really well, White, in this over.
In he comes and bowls to Welsh, who's hit in front on his leg before wicket. He was trying to work it away to the leg side and it looked pretty straight. We're fairly close to being behind the batter when the bowling is from the Bennett end, and that looked very, very straight. And there's absolutely no reaction from the Leicestershire crowd you wouldn't expect there to be, but Nick Welch's bright, breezy, powerful innings comes to an end on 38. And the Foxes 59 for 1 in the 6th.
A really good start from Nick Welsh, who's got them off to a brilliant opening to this innings. 38 from 21. Some really good 6s, some 4s. He has shown the rest of the batters, players like Aaron Lilly, as he makes his way out onto the field right now, that there is the opportunity for big hitting on this pitch, and that he has led Leicestershire to the power play. And to be fair, you know, there were some raised eyebrows when Welsh and Swindles were brought into the team. Welsh has kept his place, and with scores now of 37, 41, 11, and then that very solid innings there from Welsh into the 30s again, that 38, he has proved his place in the team.
Spin is the key on this pitch. Graham White is showing. Josh Cobb showed it to a certain extent as well, and Heldrick might too. White is in to Lilly, who's waiting for a delivery onto his legs, just clips it, or turns it really, around the corner towards Heldrick at short fine leg and jogs a single. 60 comes up. Hill will now have to try and work it around. Use some of his little innovations as White is in, bowling to him. He's turning it right off the stumps down towards deep backwards west. Takes the first one quickly, but it is only going to be a single as Safe Zabe comes in from the deep square boundary. End of a pretty good over from Graham White. Indeed, just the 4 singles from it and a wicket. Northamptonshire Steelbacks needed that sort of over. The Foxes, I think, will be reasonably content with their power play. 61 for 1 at the end of it.
Yeah, going at 10 and over in the power play. is very good indeed. They've set the platform for a big total in front of a decent crowd at Grace Road. They started, the numbers looked a little low at the beginning of this campaign against Derbyshire and Durham, but there is a healthy look to the ground at the moment. I hope that the match against India, where so many people came along to come and watch that game, watch the superstars like Kohli and Pant, who's had a brilliant day today, Rishabh Pant, that they will have brought more people along to this ground permanently to watch top-class cricket. Listening to T20 coverage of Leicestershire against Northamptonshire on BBC Radio Leicester. Leave you shortly for Hurdle White will take over on FM as Freddie Heldrick bowls his left arm spin, and he's cut first ball by Hill. They look for a second, or Hill is looking very busy. They look and they come through for the second. That's clever. Now that's very good stuff from Hill. They had clearly read that nobody was backing up Heldrick at the non-striker's end, and they were poised and ready to run. Hill did just that as the ball came in, and it was spilt by Heldrick. So 63 for 1, Hill on to 22 off 16. Heldrick tosses this one up and it's cut, and that would be 4 runs. That's a lovely shot from Lewis Hill. Orthodox cut shot in front of square on the offside. He made room for himself and played it with a horizontal bat through the gap, and Hill on to 26 and looks to be enjoying Heldrick's bowling so far.
Yeah, 2 fairly ordinary deliveries from the young left armer, just taking a while to get into his rhythm.
Big tall man. This one's flatter and well bowled. That's a good comeback. That was flatter, and there's not a lot of spin out there. We're almost directly behind the bowler's arm here, so you didn't were able to see the spin quite a bit. That didn't really move at all. But the pace was nice and zoomed through. Across the stumps goes Hill, and he's hit it onto his own stumps. He tried for the pull, but the bounce wasn't there, and he cramped him up for room, Heldrick, and gets his man. Hill has to depart for 26. And the opening partnership, or the opening pair, who have got Leicestershire off to a good start, have both had to depart. 26 for Hill off 19, Leicestershire 67 for 2.
That's the key, that's the length, isn't it, for the spinners? Make the batter impart his own pace to the delivery, have to put pace on the ball. When he was dropped short the first 2, so Hill was able to go back and club him away through the offside, but that was a much better length, and Hill trying to sort of pull it away, cramped himself up a little bit. It was too full a delivery to do that too, got a little sort of under edge and managed to pull it onto his own stump. So Steelbacks dragging this back a little bit, the 2 spinners from what were they, 60 without loss, now 67 for 2.
Heldrick, floppy-haired young man. He's from Norfolk, Heldrick, I think, from memory, isn't he?
Suffolk.
I was going to say close enough, but I don't think if there's any people from Norfolk or Suffolk, they would agree with me. He's got 80 on his back, and it's Colin Ackerman, the T20 captain, to face him. Well, as Heldrick bowls, and it's defended by Ackerman. They'll get a single as it squirts out into the offside. Single taken, 68 for 2. Ackerman off the mark. And now, listeners on FM are going to leave us as we join Hurdle White and his fabulous reggae and soca show. If you want to stay with the cricket, we're on DAB and BBC Sounds. So thank you for staying with us on DAB, BBC Sounds, the BBC Sport website and app. As Heldrick tosses this one up, and it's glanced away out into the leg side, and it's taken by Graham White, chucked in, and that is the end of the over, the end of the 7th over. 70 for 2 is the score. Lilly on 2, Ackerman on 1. These 2 will have to rebuild the innings, but the platform has been set by the Foxes to try and get a half-decent total, as both of these teams play in a do-or-die game in the T20 Blast.
White will continue from the Bennett end, taking time with Cobb to set his field. 3 men out on that short boundary on the leg side. 2 right-handers at the wicket now, so Lilly will be the one facing the Lancastrian. He's also got a long off and a man sweeping in front of the popular stand, the Uptonsteel stand over there between the meet and the electronic scoreboard. Changing the field again. Cobb not quite happy, bringing the man in front of square on the offside out into the covers. White is in and bowls. Lilly goes back. Little late cut, only as far as Heldrick at short third, but he does have a few feet to move to his right, so comfortable enough single for Lilly. He moves on to 3. 70 for 2. A lot of clapping going on out there. The Northamptonshire players will be feeling a bit better about things now. 70 for 2 off 7.1. In goes White, bowls. Ackerman stretches forward, can only push it back up the pitch to the experienced left armour. Stops at the end of his mark. Goes in quite delicately. Ackerman is down the pitch driving very, very straight. Lilly leans to one side, but it was so straight there was no chance at all for Long Gone to get across. Barely moved, in fact, before the ball was thumping into the advertising hoardings. Went on between Lilly and the umpire at the Bennett end, who is Richard Illingworth. Nice shot from Ackerman, very correct, very straight. Moves on to 5. White is in. He goes back and works it, turns it down towards square leg. McManus is in pursuit, taking off his gauntlet as he gets there before the man coming up from short find, who is Heldrick. So just a single for the Leicestershire Foxes skipper. He moves on to 6.
It's those flat deliveries, the flat spinning deliveries that seem to be causing all the problems.
In goes White, and he's off the back foot, punched away through the vacant mid-on area by Lilly down towards Long On. 1 is taken. They've worked it around nicely in this over, these two very experienced players. Lilly obviously the older of the two, but he now just on a white ball contract with the Leicestershire County Cricket Club. In goes White. Ackerman makes a little bit of room. White tries to follow him. Ackerman just leans forward and turns it calmly out to mid-wicket. Running in from the boundary comes Zabe, gets there first. Single is taken. 77 for 2 at the end of the over. Then the single boundary that Ackerman hit, that straight boundary, an important one really in the context of the over as a whole. 8 runs taken from it. Ackerman has 7, Lilly has 4. They're having to rebuild after the start given to the Foxes by Nick Welsh and Lewis Hill, but they are steadily doing just that. 77 for 2 after 8.
That 4 relieved a bit of pressure, but this is the key stage of the innings, you would suggest. Heldrick and White seem to have found something in this pitch that the pace bowlers couldn't. It's Heldrick to continue from this near end, and that's driven, flashed by Ackerman to cover. There is no run. He's on 7. Lilly is on 4. The run rate has dropped to 9.4. Heldrick, the tall left arm leg spinner, comes in, he bowls. Oh, this is a horrible ball, swept now. Is this going to be in the air? No, it's going to be safe, and it's going to run away for 4. That was an interesting chase from the fielder, who at first thought was in the game for a catch. He was well away from that, but then the ball just squeaked past him, wasn't far away from him at all as it went past for 4 runs behind square on the leg side. Horrible ball from Heldrick. With a leg spinner you can often bowl those horrible deliveries, the full bungers. It was probably at about knee height, swept by Ackerman. He loves that shot, and he gets 11. He moves on to 11, I should say, from 7 deliveries. 81 for 2 is the score under sunny skies at Grace Road. We've lost the ball under the covers.
Rob Keogh, I don't know, they maybe picked it up a little bit late. The white ball in the bright sunshine.
He's in the shadows down there as well, which possibly might make it easier. Shadows are lengthening across the ground. There's the long shadow of one of the floodlight pylons goes across Freddie Heldrick as he comes in now. Oh, that's a beauty. He beats him outside off stump. The ball just straightening as it went angled across the right-handed Ackerman, and McManus whipped the bails off. Ackerman was well within his crease, though. There's no run. 81 for 2, the score remains as the wind picks up. It has done in the past 5 minutes or so at Grace Road. The trees in the background swirling as Ackerman comes down the pitch and has to adjust and adapt to that delivery. I think Heldrick saw him coming, dragged it down into the pitch a little bit further, and so Ackerman had to just dab it down behind square for a single to short third man. 82 for 2 is the score. Ackerman on to 12. As Heldrick, left-handed, gets the ball in his hand, tosses this one up, driven high in the air, and for 4 runs. It's a chase on for the fielder, but he doesn't win it. Tom Taylor is beaten down, running around from long off, and it was a sort of orthodox extra cover position that Lilly launched it over, and 3 bounces and 4 for him. So 94-2 the score moves on to, and now these two who saw a few balls in are now deciding to hit out a little bit, and seem to have found a little bit of fluency. Lilly on to 8, Ackerman 12. Heldrick tosses this one up. Oh, it's heaved down the ground from Lilly. There's a ball dip last minute. There's a chase on for the fielder down here at long on, right in front of us. It's Graham White who slides along the ground, picks the ball up and throws it in. That is the end of Heldrick's over. A relatively expensive one in the end. What there was 11 off it. And we haven't seen this consistent, you know, I'm sure jinx it as the run rate just under 10 and over, but we haven't seen this kind of consistent hitting, consistent boundaries, a lot of pressure put on the bowlers from Leicestershire so far. They haven't lost too many early wickets. They have found the boundary. They've had some big hits in there, and they are on course at the moment. They should be on course for 200 at this rate, Richard, shouldn't they?
I'd certainly take it if they were to get it. I suspect it'll be sort of 180, 190 in the end. In goes White and bowls to Ackerman, who sweeps only as far as deep backward square in front of the manual scoreboard, and a single is taken. Heldrick, although he's picked up his wickets sort of at times during the competition, has been a little bit expensive. He's gone for sort of 9.5 and over the course of the competition, so economy isn't necessarily. He'll learn that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He'll learn that. In goes White, and again fullish. This time waiting for it. Lilly turns it out towards wide mid on. In comes Taylor to field, and again it's just the single. White, you know, he's gone for a run and over less, sort of 8.2 rather than 9.4, something around that sort of level. That and that's as much about experience as anything. In he goes, bowls to Ackerman, who goes back, cuts for 4 as well. He found the gap between the man at backward point and the man at short third, and it runs away. And once you've beaten them down towards the meat, down the slope it goes. No chance at all of anybody cutting it off. Not that anyone was in 50 yards of it when it crossed the ropes. So again, White just gave Ackerman room outside off stump, and Ackerman very good square of the wicket on either side. Put it away into the gap. He moves on to 17, 94 for 2. White steps delicately to the wicket. Ackerman sweeps for 4. That one was down the leg side, and that is Ackerman's strength. And Heldrick up on the edge of the circle. That short fine leg, no chance at all to get across to his right. Ackerman swept and swept fine. It was in the air, but long way wide of Heldrick, and he picks up consecutive boundaries, 98 for 2. And this is becoming a very good over as far as Leicestershire are concerned. 10 from the first 4 balls.
And this was the key period, because it looked like the spinners were going to stifle them, didn't they, Richard? But they haven't.
They did. White is in and bowls straight this time. Ackerman on the back foot, dabs it out into the offside, and is called through by Lilly, and puts his thumbs up to his partner, because it was a very good call by Aaron Lilly. And it was McManus running out from behind the stumps, got there first. It was only probably about sort of 8 yards from the bat by the time he got to the ball. But even so, the batters made their ground comfortably. White is in to Lilly, who goes back and cleverly works it out towards deep mid-wicket for the single that brings up Leicestershire's 100. So 100 for 2 off 10 overs. We can all work that one out, what the run rate is as a consequence. Ackerman has 22 off 13, Lilly 12 off 8. And as you were saying, Adam, that is a pretty solid foundation for what should be a challenging total. If these two can keep going for a while, they do have some big hitters to come, the Foxes, and they would dearly love the first 200 score. And Northamptonshire have got it 4 or 5 times so far this season, and they won't be daunted by a score of 200, chasing a score of 200, but it will give the Foxes a certain amount of confidence. 100 for 2 after 10.
Yeah, it's holding on to the wickets for Leicestershire while keeping up the run rate. But it's been a very, very good start from the Foxes. You're listening to Richard Ray, Adam Whitty, live up here in the commentary box at Grace Road as we bring you T20 coverage of Leicestershire against Northamptonshire. As Leicestershire need to win their final 2 games to progress, and even if they do that, they might not get to the quarter-finals. Jimmy Neesham to bowl the 11th over of this innings. He's up to the wicket. He bowls a slower delivery, which is clipped out into the leg side, forward of square. It's fielded as deep mid-wicket charges in from the boundary rope to field, and a single is taken. Lily on to 13 from 9, Ackerman 22 from 13.
It's not really Lily's sort of wicket, but he's playing a really sensible game on it. He's adapted.
He's obviously, he might have seen that this suits someone like Ackerman more. Sweeps and drives it's more suited to, rather than the big hoists as Neesham bowls and Ackerman pulls. A little bit early on that, so he cloths it slightly. Again, that fielder at deep mid-wicket is in play. And another single added to the total. We were worried about the weather earlier on. If you were in Leicestershire today, you would have encountered quite a bit of rain. But it's glorious sunshine that welcomes us. A few white clouds in the sky, the floodlights on, bit of wind, the trees on the far side of the ground by the car park swaying in the breeze. It's a lovely sight on this Friday night as Neesham comes in. Bowls, oh, it's a good Yorker. He saw Lily coming down the pitch at him. They're going to scamper through for the 2. They are, and the crowd appreciate that. The ball played down to mid-off. It was a thick inside edge because it was well bowled by Neesham in the end. Almost got it underneath Lily's bat. Lily has pulled down his trousers over there. Something needs rearranging. Probably shouldn't comment any further on that. As Lily moves on to 15, Ackerman on to 23, 104 for 2. He's always used to this a few times. There is always something with Lily, isn't there? There's always something that needs changing or fiddling with. It's Neesham, not a spinner, but he spins the ball from his right to his left hand. He's now got the ball back in his right hand as he bowls, and that's a good Yorker outside off stump. There's an appeal for a catch there from McManus. He's still got his hand up.
If I was McManus, I wouldn't do stuff like that on this ground, given his record on this ground. I mean, what ridiculous. He may well have got a little edge to it, but then it bounced between the wicket-keeper and the batter, so... Lewis McManus.
Neesham, the New Zealander, big tall man, runs in, bowls full and clips away. That's nicely timed. There's a chase on for Sanderson, who does well. He spills it in the end, but it was bobbling and bouncing all the way out to the long-on boundary, and he had to run to his right to collect it. 2 added. Yes, just to add the context to that, Richard, it was a game in the county championship last year, wasn't it, where Lewis McManus stumped Hassan Azad, was it, with the ball in his right hand, but he used his left hand to stump.
Essentially, yes. He's brought the ball. He was appealing for a catch with the ball raised high above his head in his right hand.
Neesham bowls, and that's hit down the ground. That'll be 4 runs. He's onto that quickly, just short of a Yorker length, just short of what it needed to be from Neesham, and it was whacked down the ground from Lily. Great end to the over. 110 for 2 is the score. Lily on to 21 from 13. Ackerman is on 23 from 14. And in the end, Richard, there was a 10 off the over. Yes, impressive. 11 overs gone, 110 for 2. Sorry, yes, just finish the context of that.
And then he was appealing for the catch behind with the ball in his right gauntlet raised high above his head. He saw Azad stretched forward and knocked off the bail with his left gauntlet, quite deliberately. And then they appealed for the stumping, essentially, and it was awarded, but it was a shocking episode.
And the key controversy as well was that, of course, you can call a batter back if the mistake has been made, and McManus would have known what he did.
Well, it's impossible that he didn't know what he did, but, obviously, arguably, 1 or 2 of the Hampshire players hadn't realised what had happened, but anyway, it was a pretty shoddy episode all round. Tom Taylor is back on at the Bennett end. Comes in and bowls on the length. Ackerman is leaning forward, steering it again between backward point and short third man. This time it is slowed down en route by backward point, diving across to his left, and in the end it is dragged back, sort of halfway back towards the boundary by Heldrick, and I beg your pardon, by Chris Lynn, and just 2 are taken. 112 for 2, Ackerman on to 25. Good partnership now between these two as Taylor is in down the slope and bowls. Slightly slower ball. Ackerman working it straight to backward point this time. The throw goes to the non-striker's end. 1-2 hands go on heads. It bounced over the stumps anyway and was backed up by White coming in from the long on boundary, but might have been close had the throw hit. It didn't, so the single is taken. Ackerman on to 26.
Quick, decisive call from Lilly, which was why that worked. There wasn't really a single there, but almost as soon as it left his bat, Lilly had called him through.
Taylor is in and bowls. Back foot, staying on the back foot all the time, essentially, Lilly. It's a foolish delivery that is clipped out towards deep mid wicket, and again, one is taken. One is a reasonable result as far as the bowler is concerned at the moment. The fours they're trying to stop, but it's quite hard to, to bowl an over 6 singles, which you would take. 5 singles and a boundary you wouldn't, and it's a fine old line. Taylor, arms swinging, runs in and bowls to Ackerman. Again a slower ball, but again it's cut for 4. He's threading the eye of the needle brilliantly, Ackerman, between backward point and short third time, and again they're no more than 10 yards apart,
yeah.
if that, maybe even 8 yards apart. But if they're beaten, if Ackerman does get it between the two of them without them getting a hand on it, then he's going to pick up 4, and he's done it, I think, on 3 occasions now.
It just shows you his timing is spot on. It's not been in the best form, Ackerman, of late, really. 13, 9 and 3 in his last 3 innings. But when he's batting like this, he looks like such a classy player, and he's got the reading of the pitch right too. And it suits his game.
30 off 17 for the captain. Taylor is in and bowls to him. He's trying to work that one away through the offside, but Taylor dragged his length back a little bit. Might just have moved back in a touch. Ackerman tried rather to waft it away into the offside and didn't get anything on it. Those two men at Chris Lynn is the short third. Who's there at backward sort of point? But either way, there may be now only 8 yards between the two of them. In fact, they're going to change around now. They are going to post a third man for Ackerman. It makes sense, doesn't it?
But they've had to bring the man up, haven't they, from long off?
Yeah, exactly.
Long off, which means he might try and drive through that region now.
Taylor shouldn't bowl him a full toss. I shouldn't bowl him a half volley, and that man out mid-off is in the game, but it is always going to be one to him on the edge of the circle. Sanderson it is out there. Taylor not quite a half volley, and Ackerman did try, but straight to that man. End of the over, 9 from it, 119 for 2 after 12. The Foxes remain on course for that 200 score.
The familiar gait of Gavin Griffiths makes his way out onto the field. He sort of runs with a very straight back, and he's brought some new gloves for Aaron Lilly. Must be about his 20th pair of gloves of this T20 campaign. As he runs off the field. He's got curtains, Gavin Griffiths, the hairstyle curtains, I should say. So 119 for 2, 12 overs gone here at Grace Road. Ackerman to face, as it's the return of Josh Cobb, who bowls outside off stump, and it's cut by Ackerman out to deep point where Zaib fields, launches it in right-handed, and there is a single added to the total.
He was at Wimbledon this week, Gavin Griffiths.
Was he?
Tickets for centre court in ripped jeans. Much commented upon.
Oh dear. Cobb round the wicket, bowls, it's reverse swept, and it's a horrible hoik from Lilly. Hits the bottom of the bat, hardly goes anywhere, and Lilly walks away in semi-embarrassment as he does so, and puts his bat on the ground, puts his head between his legs almost. Really feels he missed out there. Cobb bowls to Lilly, who looks to give this a big shot as well, give a big hoik over to the leg side, but just calms it down when he's gone down the track. Ackerman, the throw at the stumps is missed by McManus. Great chance for Northamptonshire to get Ackerman, but it was missed. All he had to do was roll the ball into the stumps. Ackerman and Lilly with the miscommunication, and dearie me, that was rather comical, that series of events. Ackerman and Lilly
Well, it got even more comical because the throw was from Neesham down at the bottom end, but Chris Lynn, who was sort of tidying up, lobbed it back towards Josh Cobb, and Aaron Lilly wasn't watching, and it bounced and hit him in the unmentionables. So the whole thing, and then he was sort of down on his knees in the end, and it all got a little bit farcical, frankly.
Well, no wicket and a single is the result as Ackerman sweeps uppishly, but there's no man in the infield behind square and on the leg side, and so it's fielded by the man coming in a deep backward square leg. 122 for 2. Ackerman on to 33. This partnership now worth over 50 as Cobb comes in. Down the track goes Lilly and plays it down the ground. There's going to be a chase on for the fielder, who does well to keep it in. It's Taylor running round to his right from long on, who collects and throws it in. 2 added to the total. Playing nice and straight and timing the ball well, Lilly, today in that area. 25 he moves on to as he puts the bat, leans it on his shoulder, and now with an open stance as Cobb comes around the wicket. It's reverse swept and it's a big hit. It should be just 4, 1 bounce 4. Really good shot. He got underneath it, went forward of square on, well, what is his offside technically, although is sort of the leg side that he's playing to with the reverse sweep. Got underneath it, 4 runs, and Lilly moves on to 29. 128 for 2. Lilly on 29 from 18. Ackerman 33 from 21. This partnership now worth 60. 61, and again these two have played actually very sensibly. They've found the boundary when they need to. They've kept the run rate up, which is at just under 10. But I've been impressed particularly by Lilly. This isn't his real style of innings, but he's playing and he's playing according to the conditions and adapted very well.
He has. It'll be Ackerman on strike on 33 off 21 as White is in to finish his allotted overs outside off stump. He swings, tries to sweep it away through the leg side, doesn't get anything on it. McManus takes off the bails with the ball in his gauntlets, but Ackerman's back foot was safely anchored. Dot ball. White in, bowls. Ackerman steps back and followed by White. Ackerman waits for it, works it out through wide mid-on, down to Taylor, who's at wide long on. Apologises, Taylor, holds up his hand, because the throw was slightly wide, not very wide, just slightly wide. Single taken. Lilly on strike, looking for the gaps, wondering where he can try perhaps a reverse sweep, something like that. Not many gaps around for him to do that. White is in. He tries the big swing and is bowled. Tried to pull it away over the relatively short boundary at mid-wicket. A conventional slog sweep, basically. Missed it and lost his middle stump. End of Lilly's innings. Bright in terms of intelligent innings. Adapted, as Adam has said, and he goes for 29. Very useful partnership as he continued to build on the foundation laid by Nick Welsh and Lewis Hill. And now to see whether the Foxes can accelerate in the latter part of the innings. Coming to the wicket is Vian Mulder.
Alan, I was just thinking then, as Mulder walked out, I was keeping an eye on who was coming in, and I thought this is something really that Leicestershire haven't had in the T20 Blast for a while, is that sense of another dangerous batter is coming in. You know, you get that with the England one-day team, don't you? You get Butler out, in comes Livingston. You get Livingston out, in comes Morgan, except it's not quite the right but there's somebody coming in who is a threat every single time, and Vian Mulder offers that, I think. There's a bit of depth in the batting.
White ready to go. Mulder wasn't quite ready to receive. 3 balls to go in the over. White is in. Mulder gets a fullish delivery, drives it hard down into the ground. It bounces quite nicely for Josh Cobb, who's at shortish extra cover, looking to save one, and does on that occasion. Good over so far from Graham White, just the single conceded from it and the wicket. Back goes Mulder to a slightly short of a length delivery and chops it away through the offside. Think about a second, the two South Africans decide not, as the throw comes in from the deep point boundary. One is taken. 130 for 3. Can White come out of the over strong? If so, it will have been a pretty decent effort on his part. 2 for 26 for him so far. Goes in, bowls to Ackerman, who sweeps hard, but only as far as deep backward square, absolutely straight to him. The throw comes in. A single is taken. End of the over, 131 for 3. Just the 3 runs from it and a wicket. Well bowled, Graham White. He finishes his 4 overs, having taken 2 for 27.
Ackerman, I don't think, could have placed that shot any worse if he had tried. That was the fielder out there at deep square. They didn't even have to move an inch to collect it. Otherwise, it was 4. I think it would have been 4 if it was a couple of metres either side of him. White has bowled well. Cobb, who is going to continue, has as well 2 overs for 16. That must be one of the lower economy rates in the whole innings so far, I would suggest.
He has the best economy rate of all the Northamptonshire bowlers throughout the competition at 6.6.
As he bowls the first delivery, it's hit high up in the air, swept by Ackerman. It's not going to go for 4, I don't think. The chase is on with the fielder, who does very well. It was a greater chase than I thought from the fielder running around at deep backward square leg. He mops the ball up, swipes it back in, and 133. Keogh, did you say, was the fielder out there? Of course, keeping an eye on some of the other games going on at the moment. I'll keep you updated with that. One game that we're particularly focusing on to see for Leicestershire's chances. Cobb bowls, this is slog swept high up in the air, big hit, 6 runs from Ackerman. That's the first shot he's hit in real anger today, and he got a hold of it on the angle, going across him, and he loves to sweep this one forward of square down to deep mid wicket. Big hit, the first 6 for a while, and an all-important one too. So that's a big blow from the captain. 145 for 3.
Yeah, meaty. It sounded really good off the bat, didn't it? Really deep sound.
Cobb, his reply is to put to bring it down into the pitch, and Ackerman will hoist this round the corner, square on the leg side. He'll come through for 2 onto 45. This has been a great innings from Ackerman. He's looked back at his best today. The game we've been looking at, because it has big implications for Leicestershire's chances of progressing, is between Yorkshire and Birmingham. Birmingham 56 for 1 off 4 overs, which is
they started late, didn't they?
Yeah, they did.
7.
That's a horrible ball down the leg side, and it's flicked away. Well stopped by the fielder at short fine leg. It was flicked behind at the corner. Terrible ball from Cobb down the leg side. Would have been better leaving it, Ackerman, in all honesty, but he's got a single for it. 46, 142 for 3 is the score.
Great work by Heldrick to stop it.
Yeah, that looked 4 all day long. Cobb, tall, bulky man, muscular, comes in, tosses this one up down the pitch, comes Ackerman. He hasn't timed that well at all. He's going to be caught, and is by Tom Taylor. And that is the end of Mulder, who only managed 1. That's his first failure so far since coming into the T20 team. He didn't time it at all, and there were 2 men on the boundary out there on the offside forward of square, and it fell neatly into the hands of him. So Mulder has to go for 1. 142 for 4 is the score, with 1 ball left in the 15th over, as Ben Mike comes in. I'm excited to see this partnership, Richard, between Ackerman, who's got the fluency there in his innings, but Mike can really hit a long ball and played well. I think he probably won the game with that 29 against Nottinghamshire, didn't he? Just swayed the momentum in Leicestershire's favour last week.
He did, and again, I'm not entirely certain it's his sort of hitting wicket, but he's just going to have to adapt a little bit. He's got just about time to have a look at 1 or 2, and Ackerman may be saying that to him, just work 1. I'm going okay on 46 off 28. You don't have to go hard from the very first ball, and just 1 ball of Cobb's to go. So
142 for 4. We've already had 11 off the over.
A 6 of Ackerman's earlier to sort of set it up a bit, but he's come back strong, Josh.
As he moves away from us now in turquoise shoes, drags this down into the pitch, and Mike had the opportunity, because of 11 from the over, to just see himself in a little bit, give himself 1, and he plays it straight back to Cobb. End of the over, 142 for 4 in bright sunshine in the centre of Leicester, as the Foxes look to get their 4th win in a row that will keep their chances of progression to the quarter-finals alive in the T20 Blast. I'll just quickly run through the other scores in the North Group. The Worcestershire Rapids, of course, they start early. They don't have floodlights down at New Road, so they're in the 2nd innings. Lancashire 60 for none off 6 overs, chasing 179 against the rather poor Worcestershire side, and Durham 123 for 5 at Trent Bridge against Nottinghamshire in the 1st innings of that match.
Freddie Heldrick is going to have a go from the Bennett end. A little bit expensive so far. He has picked up a wicket, 19, bowls outside off stump, brilliantly slog swept by Ackerman. It's not really fair to call it a slog at all, really. It was a long way outside off stump. Somehow the South African reached, 2.5 feet outside off stump and swept it to straightish mid-wicket for 4, and he really did middle it. No chance. There is a deep mid-wicket, but he had no chance of getting there, and that is Ackerman's 50 off just 29 balls. Heldrick is in. Ackerman sweeps. Again, he's found the gap between the 2 men on the leg side. Saves Zabe mid-wicket, runs and picks it up from in front of the manual scored. Ackerman playing the best innings he's played so far this season, really, for the Foxes in this competition. He has rarely looked in too much trouble, and he's finding a way to get the ball to the boundary. 54 off 30 for him brings up the 150. Heldrick continues to be a little bit expensive. Mid-on or sort of long on came in for a word. He tosses one up onto the legs of and appeals for a leg before, but that's going to be 4 leg byes for me, unless he got a little inside edge on it. No, he didn't. It was leg byes. He drifted it onto the legs of Ackerman, very full. Ackerman tried to clip it away, it just clipped his pads and went very fine. So 12 off the first 3 balls of the over, 8 against the bowler, 12 onto the score though. 154 for 4. Heldrick spins the ball from hand to hand, in he goes and bowls. Straighter this time. Ackerman can only work it out towards long on and take 1. Moves on to 55, beg your pardon, out of 155 for 4. 200 still on. Ben Mike, who's only faced the 1 delivery so far, will be on strike. He takes guard from umpire Illingworth, scrapes violently at the crease with his spikes, looks around him. 3 men out on the leg side in front of square. He goes back and tries to pull it out towards long on. Doesn't time it, comes off the bottom of the bat. Heldrick runs across the pitch and fields off his own bowling. In to finish his over. Bowls, and Mike does manage to get it past him this time. In fact, he's hit it so straight, he's got it straight to the boundary as well at a very straight long on. Taylor is quite wide out there at long on, and he was too wide. It is a very, very fast outfield here at the Uptonsteel County Ground. Very, very dry, very, very hard, and the ball is fairly racing across it. Heldrick concedes 4 from his last delivery. 159 for 4 means there were 17 runs off the over, the most productive over of the innings as far as the Foxes are concerned.
I can't think there's been too many productive overs than that in Leicestershire's T20 campaign so far. Maybe that there was a bet that Ben Mike over at the end against Notts, so there hasn't been too many of them, has there, Richard? Let's be honest. This has been fantastic. We've seen overs in this innings. Well, how many? Over 10, heading towards 15, 6 or 7. Brilliant stuff. Sanderson will bowl his 3rd over. He's gone for 20 so far. It bangs this one in, and it's pushed away into the leg side by Ackerman. They're going to try and come through for 2, and I think you can tell that it's 2 of the fitter players on the team out at the crease at the moment. They haven't been running 2s off the ball when it goes probably about 2/3 of the way to the boundary, and the player is running in from the boundary rope, but on this occasion they do. You can tell, Richard, by the way, I think the crowd have really enjoyed this innings, haven't they? They've just been that little bit more vocal, that they've enjoyed themselves a lot more. I think because we've seen a lot more boundaries, we've seen some big hitting, we've seen some real emphasis and impetus in this innings from the Foxes. 161 for 4, Ackerman 57. Mike on 4. It's Ackerman facing as Sanderson comes in now. It's glanced around the corner. Lovely timing from Ackerman as it goes just in front of square on the leg side. It's fielded by deep mid wicket, and the single is taken. 162 for 4. There's Leicestershire fans you can hear singing in the background. Cheerleaders sat up against the advertising hoardings down to our left hand side. half of them not watching the game. Popular stand nice and busy on that far side of the Uptonsteel ground. Not many yellow seats on show. Now Sanderson runs in towards us now. He's up to the wicket, he bowls. It's a slower delivery and it's carved by Mike out into the offside, fielded by Cover. And there's another single added to the total. Sanderson has looked, in reality, probably a little bit of cut above of the rest of the Northamptonshire bowlers. Maybe Cobb apart, but he's been able to vary up his pace to such a good degree. And has kept things a lot tighter than others. And he's still going. Still gone for 24 off his 2.5 overs. He runs away from us now, up to the wicket. He bowls, dragged into the pitch this time, and it's just pushed down the ground. Sanderson keeping it tight. Ackerman gets another single. Really nice view on this Friday night in Leicester.
Beautiful evening now.
I should probably mention, we mentioned the Yorkshire Birmingham Bears game. I'll explain in a second why we're keeping an eye on that. The permutation's worth mentioning as Sanderson comes in. Bowls, this is hit high. What a big hit from Ben Mike. That's massive. It was not a particularly short ball. It was off a length really, but he just leant back and whacked it, pulled it almost in front of square down the ground, and that's a huge 6 from Ben Mike. He moves on to 11, and I have to say that's been a real feature of this Leicestershire innings, that when they've got 4 singles in a row, you might think the bowler might be getting comfortable. They have found a way to get the boundary. Sanderson in again. Bowles drags this one in and it's pulled away. Should be 4 more. There's a big chase on with the fielder. He's going to lose the battle. 4 more to Mike. 15 he moves on to. 174 for 4 is the score at the end of the over. And there is another, 15 off that over, Richard. Goodness me, Leicestershire going towards a big total here, the biggest of the T20 Blast campaign so far for the Foxes. They are 174 for 4, and we still have 18 overs left at the end of the 17th. Let me just explain the permutation. So Leicestershire basically need to win both their games. If they don't do that, all of this is immaterial, but they will want Birmingham on 16 points to beat Yorkshire on 15, so which will leave a winner-takes-all game between the Vikings and Leicestershire on Sunday. That is their best chance of getting through, but they need to beat Northamptonshire first, but they've set themselves up very nicely here.
They have. Very muscular efforts from Ben Mike in that over. Clubbed away Sanderson to the deep mid-wicket, or over the deep mid-wicket boundary on one occasion. And then a sort of baseball style clubbing to the meat. Tom Taylor's back with us, 2 overs for 22 so far from the Bennett end. Not every fielder in the right position. Everybody on the leg side on the boundary now. No close fielders at all on the leg side. Taylor is in. Down the wicket goes Ackerman. Bangs it in short. Taylor, thick inside edge from Ackerman as he pulls into the onside. Heldrick has a bit of ground to make up to the ball. Does so looking into the sun, but Ackerman is able to pick up 2 and move into the 60s onto 61. Not out. 176 for 4. The chant now is an echo of the Leicestershire dressing room's winning song, it having been on social media. In goes Taylor and bowls a slower ball. Half volley, thundered for 6. I think it went the distance. It was a very low 6 by Ackerman, but it did rather put it in the slot, Taylor there. Although it was a slower ball, Ackerman able to adjust accordingly and club it back over long gone, and probably didn't get above about 12 feet high at the highest point, but muscled away, and Ackerman picks up 6. 67 off 37 for Ackerman now. 182 for 4, and every chance now of a score of 200 plus. Neesham and Lynn have a word to short, almost 2 short third men there. Taylor is in, full toss. Ackerman wristily whips it away down towards deep mid-wicket. Zabe doesn't take it cleanly, grabs it at the second attempt, throw comes in, but Ackerman had called for a second, having seen the very slight fumble, and it was enough for him to get home safely enough. He moves on to 69, 184 for 4. I know he's best T20 scores in the 70s, Colin Ackerman. I'll check how many.
Let's have
exactly.
a wee look.
I think it's
79, not out.
79, something like that. Yeah, so he's got 10 runs to go. He won't be thinking about that, that's for sure. He waits as Taylor is in, bowls to him, good delivery, almost chops onto his stumps. It was a Yorker just outside off stump, thick bottom edge as Ackerman came down on it. Big puff of dust, could easily have landed on the stumps, landed just to one side of them and then bounced behind them. Ackerman does move on to 70 with that single, 185 for 4.
This has been a great innings from Ackerman, really brilliant. He started by nudging and nurdling, sweeping and driving, and he's ended it by timing the ball perfectly, and we've seen some really big hits. He's not a big sort of launch down the ground type of player, is he? That shot that he played down the ground is not really his type of shot, but he's so in the zone right now.
Taylor is in to Mike, full toss that is sliced out towards mid-off and caught by Ben Sanderson. So little bit of fortune really for Tom there. It was a full toss, but it was low, just outside off stump, and Mike tried to hit it straight, sliced it off the bottom of the bat, and it lobbed rather up to Sanderson. Simple enough catch for the Yorkshireman. Mike goes for 15 off just 6 balls. Fox is 185 for 5.
And even though Mike would have wanted to go on for longer, and Leicestershire certainly would have done, considering his power and his ability to finish in innings well, he's kept up the run rate. He didn't slow anything down. 15 off 7 with that big 6 and another 4 following it. He has allowed the impetus to continue for the Foxes. They are well on course for 200 at 185 for 5.
This is where Kimber's come in now, and this is where that sort of extra big hitting batsman may just pay off for the Foxes. He's only got a few balls to try and get it away, but he's more likely to do so with respect to him than Harry Swindles. Taylor now changes to there is a change to the field. Third man has gone back and long on has come in, and Kimber thumps it over deep mid wicket. In from the boundary comes Abe, takes it on the first bounce, and it is just 1 to Kimber. He keeps the strike. That isn't necessarily a good thing, but he's as capable as hitting a 6 of Ackerman at the moment. 186 for 5, 12 off Taylor's a third over, 1 for 34 for Tom now. 2 overs to go. 14 gets you 200, but they'll be looking for a bit more than that, I suspect.
Let me just have a look at the scorecard here. In terms of the bowling figures, Cobb 1 for 29, that's one of the better ones. White 4 for 27.
2 for 27 no.
2 for 27
from his phone.
Oh yes, sorry, yeah. But then Sanderson 3 for 35. Neesham 2 for 25.
You'd think it would be Neesham and Sanderson now, so to finish off, but we'll see.
And
Neesham first.
To start the penultimate over of this innings. Leicestershire 186 for 5. As he comes in, Neesham bowls, and it's missed by Kimber. He tried that baseball-style shot from the offside to the leg and missed it entirely. And all the fielders are out on that leg side. That's the long boundary over to our right, the leg side to the right-hander. Deep mid-wicket, deep backward square leg, long on, and then a short fine leg. There's a short third man just round from him, a backward point. They're only about 15 metres apart. An extra cover and a long off, as well as a deep point as Neesham comes in, bowls Kimber down the ground. Nicely timed, but he's only going to get a single as Sanderson launches himself round to the right and collects. And one thing, actually, I thought, to be fair, what Ackerman and Mike did really well, they're two really fit players, 2 of the fittest in the team, was they put the pressure back on the fielding team. What were normal singles and comfortable singles were being turned into 2s by this pair, or by that pair. So hopefully Kimber and Ackerman can continue. And Ackerman is 70 not out, 9 away from his best ever T20 score. As Neesham comes in, Ackerman makes room for himself, tries to force it away on the leg side and does so. It's a full delivery. Neesham saw him coming and bowled it right into his pads, and he just tucked it off his toes for a single. 188 for 5. Ackerman on to 71. And this has been a rarity too for Leicestershire this season. Somebody getting 70, somebody getting a big score. We've seen a few 50s here or there, but nobody's been able to push on.
It is now the biggest score of the season, isn't it, in the T20, I think?
Kimber, big tall man, 6'3", stands with his bat raised as Neesham bowls to him. It's a slower delivery, hoiked into the leg side. It's split the two fielders, so they might come back for two, and indeed they do. The quick call came in from Colin Ackerman running to the non-striker's end, and they made it comfortably. So 190 for 5. 2 balls left in the penultimate over. Kimber on 4, Ackerman 71.
Very good one though so far from Neesham, just 4 from the first 4 balls.
Yes, this is normally the time when people can hit boundaries all over the place, but he has bowled well defensively, even though his overs have gone for quite a few. This one's in the slot driven, and it's going to go for 4. That was the boundary that they needed, just to relieve a bit of pressure through the covers, and Neesham goes down on his paunches because he knows that he put that right in the slot for Kimber. He bowled so well from the opening 4 deliveries, but that one was a gimme, and he found the gap, but just past cover, and it was too far away from long off, and so that is 194 for 5. It's still not going to be the most expensive over. There have been far more expensive penultimate overs in T20, but 8 off it now. How can Kimber finish it? He's 8 not out. Big high raise of the bat as Neesham bowls to him, and it's driven again for 4. Great finish to the over for Leicestershire through the covers, and it was a poor ball and a poor end to the over from Neesham, who stands motionless with his hands on his hips as he stares into the far distance. So 12 off that over, and Leicestershire are storming towards 200. They're 198 for 5. And are doing very, very nicely indeed. Great finish, an important finish to the end of the over from Kimber. He's on 12. And Ackerman, I think importantly too, Richard, what that 4 did is it keeps Ackerman on strike for the final over, with Kimber getting one of the best possible results that he could have done.
Yeah, they've put themselves firmly in the game. It's not easy to get 200 at the Uptonsteel County ground against a side that knows how to defend a score. Has shown that over recent games. So they've set Northamptonshire's vaunted batting lineup. A decent score. Neesham kicks one of the circles away there, and he may be told to go and get it, and he is being told to go get it by Russell Warren. He just, in a fit of pique, Neesham kicked one of the circle markers away, and Russell Warren saying, go and get it and put it back. So he's had to jog down and put it back in place, and well, there you go.
Naughty schoolboy.
A little bit. And he tried to get Chris Lynn to go and get it, and Lynn said, no, you go and get it. In comes Sanderson, bowls, and it's full, and he's whacked straight back past him by Ackerman to the long on boundary. Very, very straight for 4, and that brings up the Foxes 200 for the first time in the T20 blast this season. So that, although is by no means a certain winning score, whatever they end up with against Northamptonshire, it will give them a lot of confidence, give the bowlers a lot of confidence. Ackerman on to 75, approaching his T20 career best. Sanderson is in to him, full toss, hit over mid-wicket for a 1 bounce 4. He moves on to 79, matches it, was probably only 2 feet short of being a 6. It was a big flat hit out there into the onside. Ackerman picked it up really nicely, full toss from Sanderson. So boundaries from the first 2 balls of the over, 206 for 5, and 1 or 2 teapots out there amongst the Northamptonshire fielders. Josh Cobb has a word with Ben Sanderson. Ackerman 79 off 42. Outstanding innings from the Foxes skipper. Sanderson is in to him, another full toss, and he's clipped it for 6 this time into the Geary bar, the side of the Geary, on the net on top of it, and the spectators bounce the ball off the top of the net, or try to, and there it is. They've managed to get it off it, but wow, that was a lovely pick-up and clip into the onside for 6 by Ackerman. He moves on to 85 off 43. Well, he's going to have to hit the next 3 for 6 as well to get 100. But the way he's playing at the moment, you wouldn't entirely put it past him. Sanderson is in and bowls very wide outside off stump, and he's hit it straight to Josh Cobb for a catch, a simple catch. He did very well to reach it. It was very wide. Had he not gone for it, it would have been signalled wide without a shadow of doubt. But Ackerman's brilliant innings comes to an end. Court Cobb bowled Sanderson for 85 off 43 balls.
And he's going to get a good response from the Grace Road crowd as he makes his way off. Career best score in T20 for Colin Ackerman. He raises his bat. And you're right, Richard, there is something so disappointing about the fact that it was such an ugly ball from Sanderson. I think deliberately so. Outside off stump would have been a wide, no question, had it been left. And you saw his complete surprise, Colin Ackerman, as he cut it, started to run, but it went straight to the man. And that ends a fantastic innings that has set a very, very good platform.
So a little bit of reward for Ben Sanderson, who's gone round the park in his last couple of overs. 1 for 49 he has now, 2 balls to go. Comes in, bowls to Rishi Patel, a very full delivery. Patel works it out too deep mid-wicket. They'll think about a second, but no, there really was no chance at all. And better probably to have Kimber on strike for the final delivery. 213 for 6. And that is the half century for Ben Sanderson.
I did nearly say to you before that ball that Ackerman got out, the rest of the 3 balls were almost freebies because they'd got enough by that point with the 2 4s and a 6. So how can they finish in style?
Sanderson is in a very good full delivery, pretty much a low Yorker. Kimber gets the bottom of the bat to it. It runs out towards deep mid-wicket, but it will be just a single. So Sanderson did come back well from those from the first 3 balls. The last 3 were much better. But the Foxes finish on 214 for 6. Louis Kimber 13 not out, Rishi Patel a single not out. The highlight very much the innings of 85 by the captain Colin Ackerman off just 44 balls, a career best for the skipper. Run rate then 10.7. Northamptonshire's batting lineup has, as I say, passed 200 on at least 5 occasions so far this season, but they're going to have to do so again on a pitch that may not be ideally suited against a Foxes bowling lineup that knows, or has shown it knows how to defend sort of a competitive score, and this, whatever way you look at it, is a competitive score.
Yeah, some brilliant stuff from Colin Ackerman, but very ably helped out by the top order, who haven't been the most consistent performers for Leicestershire. Welsh with 36, Hill 26, 38 rather to Welsh, Hill with 26, Lilly 29, Ackerman with that 85, and I think Mike's 15 also made a big contribution as well. So Northamptonshire need 215 to win to stay in the competition. Leicestershire have given themselves a big chance of living another day and living to breathe another day in this competition. Palmer Atkin.
Thank you very much, Adam Whitty and Richard Raine. What a fantastic batting display, and as you quite rightly say there, Adam, it has given Leicestershire some hope in this competition if they can go on and do what they've done very, very well so far this season, which is go and defend big scores like this, and this is the biggest score of the season so far. Now, Richard, is that a real significant change, do you think, for Leicestershire? The fact that they've got over that 200 mark, is that something that would have been bothering them now they've totted it up?
I don't think so necessarily, but they did know they'd need a really decent score. They would have probably taken 190, maybe 200, but so 214 is a bit of a bonus. But they'll be confident that the bowlers really do this time have something to defend, and the way they've been bowling recently, that will really lift everybody. So it's not necessarily significant in itself that they've gone past 200 for the only time this season, but it just shows that they've really found a way in the competition, and we're just hoping it isn't too late, really. They've put themselves in a great position.
And they continue, and this is something that Paul Nixon spoke about after the Notts game, didn't he? He said about coming here and playing 2 games and making sure that run rate is right where it needs to be. And when you consider that kind of innings, it doesn't hurt, does it?
It absolutely doesn't. I can see Harry Swindles out there warming up as well, so I'm just wondering whether somebody's tweaked something and that Swindles is going to come in and replace one of the fielders. Hopefully it's not one of the bowlers anyway.
Well, let's hope so. Let's hope so indeed. Adam, you could hear it in both of yours and Richard's voice actually in that first innings, particularly as the score got an inch closer and closer to that 200 mark. But there was an air of excitement and perhaps one of the loudest crowds we've heard at Grace Road so far this season as well, maybe because of that excitement.
Yeah, I could tell that the crowd were really into that. They haven't been spoiled. I think that's an underestimation really, because Leicestershire haven't played well here. They've only won one game at home all year, and even then that was against a really poor Worcestershire team. They haven't been treated to big hitting. They haven't been treated to lots of boundaries, and Leicestershire really taking the game to a team, which is what they did so well in that innings. It all started with the way they played in the power play. Welsh got them off to a flyer. Hill played some really nice ramps and scoops and drives to get them off to a really flying start. And Leicestershire really struggled to do that. They've had really bad power plays throughout the campaign, and that set the tone for players like Lily and Ackerman to come in, hit the ball around. They were responsible actually, Lily and Ackerman, at first, but then started to hit out and play really well. It was a perfectly crafted T20 innings, and the way Ackerman finished was brilliant to get them up to 214. It was a really enjoyable, exciting batting display, the type that we haven't seen from Leicestershire in this campaign, which was so fantastic to see. And it's going to be really tricky for them to get, because I think Richard is right. This is a pitch that suits Leicestershire's bowlers more than it does Northamptonshire and their batters. It will work well for Rian Ahmed. It will work well for Callum Parkinson. Colin Ackerman, I'm sure we will see bowling too during that match. It's been really nicely set up by Leicestershire.
Yeah, very nicely set up indeed, and we'll have to wait and see as to what happens. And of course, the Northants innings, Adam. But where do you think who are the key bowlers, who are the key men out there, Richard? And how will Leicestershire go and aim to bowl in this one? Are they going to be aiming for a fast start, or are they going to try and contain Northants over the next 20 overs?
They should. I mean, the power play will be very interesting. If they can pick up 2 wickets, maybe even 3, fingers crossed, then they'll probably win the game, because obviously 2 of those early wickets will be those of Chris Lynn and Jimmy Neesham. Safe Zabe, of course, as well. They'll look to take the pace off it. They'll hope that right at the beginning, with the seams still sort of a little bit of a factor, they might get the ball just to hold in the pitch and maybe even turn a couple of times, maybe just enough to persuade the likes of Lynn to sky one up into the air once or twice. They do bat very big early on, Northamptonshire. Not too sure about the tail. They haven't had to use the sort of tail that much, so if they can get 3 wickets early, the Foxes certainly sort of 4 by the 10 over mark, then they'll be fairly confident of going on to N4's victory. Just to say that the Bears are going really nicely against Yorkshire. They're 136 for 2 after just 11 overs of their 20 overs, Birmingham. So they are going to set Yorkshire what looks as though it's going to be a formidable score. So at the moment, things are going okay for Leicestershire in both games.
Well, I'm sure the permutations will be something that we'll be discussing after this game based on the result, and keeping a keen eye on that Yorkshire-Birmingham score as well. Richard Ray, Adam Whitty, thank you very much. We'll be back for of course, the Northants innings very, very shortly indeed here on BBC Radio Leicester. Owen Palmer-Atkin with you alongside Adam Whitty and Richard Ray. A few other scores. Worcestershire at the moment, Lancashire playing. Lancashire Lightning need 68 runs to win of 7.4 overs. Middlesex against Somerset. Somerset needing 146 runs from 17.5 overs remaining. Of course, Notts versus Durham, that's there between innings at the moment. Durham 183 for 8 they finished after their 20 overs. The big one that everyone's concentrating on, and that was what Richard was just mentioning a few moments ago, Birmingham Bears are 130 for 2 with 9 overs remaining, so they are going to set a mammoth score for Yorkshire, which is always going to be good for Leicestershire. Surrey versus Kent there between innings. The Kent Spitfires 191 for 5. Hampshire Gloucestershire, Hampshire Hawks 77 for 4 with 5.5 overs left. And Sussex against Essex. Essex currently 132 for 5 with 5.2 overs remaining. Meanwhile, the delayed final test between England and India has been getting underway at Edgbaston today. England started strongly with Matthew Potts taking 2 wickets, Jimmy Anderson taking 3 as well, but the visitors have fought back through a 100-run stand between Ravish Pant and Ravindra Jadeja. India closed the day on 330 38 for 7. New white ball captain Josh Butler, though, says that Ben Stokes still has a future in short form cricket. Despite his strong start as England Test captain, it's after Stokes was included in England's ODI squad to face India under the new skipper for the first time since Stokes himself captained the side against Pakistan next year. What's up? That was Josh Butler there here on BBC Radio Leicester. Meanwhile, at Wimbledon, it's been another busy day. Cameron Norrie securing his first major fourth-round appearance in style after beating the American Steve Johnson 6-4, 6-1, 6-0. World number 3, Novak Djokovic, has also beaten fellow Serb Miomir Cekmanovic in straight sets. Heather Watson is also through to the fourth round for the first time in her career. She beat the 21-year-old Slovenian Kaja Juvan 7-6, 6-2. And afterwards, on court 1, Watson spoke to our reporter, Catherine Gannon-Emerson. Right, thanks for the pronunciation. Yeah. Okay, they're walking back out now, Dale, so if we can cut it. That was Heather Watson there. Of course, she plays against Germany's Watson Jewel Nimina next. Tomorrow, Leicestershire's Katie Bolter hoping for another win when she takes on Harmony Tan on number 2 court in the fourth round. The Leicestershire fielders back out on the playing surface. The Northants batsmen making their way out alongside the umpires as well. So with that, let's hand back to your match day commentary team for live T20 Blast action here on BBC Radio Leicester. Adam Whitty and Richard Ray.
Thank you very much, Owen. Got it right this time. And welcome back to the commentary box in Grace Road. Well, this is intriguing. Leicestershire have set a big total for really the first time in this T20 Blast innings. It has been their bowlers that have dug them out of plenty of holes. They've kept it tight. They have really strangled and stifled the opponents, and without a lot of runs to play with during this T20 season. But now they have the big score to defend. But the problem, Richard, is you turned to me and said while we were just off air and Owen was going through the other news, if Chris Lynn, and to a certain extent Jimmy Neesham too, go berserk here, then we are really in for a game. But Leicestershire are probably pretty decent favourites for this.
I think so. You never quite know with the likes of Lynn, Neesham, Zabe, Ben Curran, who's obviously opening the batting for the Steelbacks, with Chris Lynn, all in pretty good form. And if two of them probably have to come off, but if they do, and they've done it several times this season, then they're going to get close or past this. They're going to open the Foxes with Callum Parkinson. So they are going to take the pace off the ball from the very start. It'll be very interesting to see how Northants sort of set about this. They'll have learned from the way they saw the ball reacting on the pitch when they were bowling against the Foxes early on, but will they I think they'll go hard from the start, frankly. They'll know the importance of a sort of 60 or 70 off the power play.
They need nearly 11 and over from the very beginning, Northamptonshire.
It's huge, isn't it, when you think about it, but these days, gettable.
So the field's set then, the two men allowed outside of the boundary, outside of the infield I should say, are at deep mid-wicket and deep backward square leg.
Interesting that the Foxes have chosen to start from the Bennett end, so Parkinson has his long boundary, understandably, to the left-hander on the long side of the ground, the west side of the ground.
So we're ready then. 215 to win for Northamptonshire. in this do-or-die game for both. Parkinson is up to the wicket. He bowls reverse swept, first ball, big appeal for OBW. He's given him first ball, and Parkinson charges away in celebration. That is a big, bold call by the umpire. I have to say that didn't look well. From here, we're behind the batter. It didn't look overly clearly and obviously out. Curran certainly didn't think it was out and looks thoroughly unimpressed, but he has gone and Leicestershire have got off to the best possible start. Northamptonshire are 0 for 1, are chasing 215 to win.
Yeah, I would imagine Curran thought he was outside the line of off stump on that. I haven't seen a replay as yet, but he looked very, very disappointed to be given out. But what a start for the Foxes.
What is so if you move to a reverse sweep, does that change what leg and offside is? I thought it's a little
hit it. Oh, goodness. Not well, Foxes will take it.
Yeah,
put it that way. Foxes will take it.
It's an interesting call. Let's put it like that, having just seen the replay.
Yeah.
So then, the new man is Josh Cobb. The ex-Leicestershire man, 265 runs in this innings in this season so far. Parkinson up to the wicket, bowl slower and tossed up, and forward comes Cobb. And that is the best possible start that Leicestershire could have imagined. Crowd on side. As Parkinson comes in towards us from the Bennett end, and it's flicked away into the gap on the leg side. And Ben Mike at deep mid-wicket trundles in to field, launches it in right-handed. It's collected by Lewis Hill behind the stumps. Parkinson with short blonde hair, getting his Leicestershire cap today. His county cap. For his contributions to the club. He's up to the wicket, he bowls, and that's defended by Lynn, who is the key man in this innings. There's no doubt about that. 448 runs from 11 innings, an average of 64, 2 centuries, 3 50s. One of those centuries against Leicestershire. Parkinson, left-handed, bowls, and back goes Lynn, glances it to Naveen, who fields at short fine leg, and there is no run, just a single so far from the 4 opening deliveries of this first over of the game. The run rate already above 11. As Lynn stands tall, the Australian faces Parkinson and is beaten outside off stump. There's an appeal for a stumping. Leicestershire all go up. The umpire's finger does not. Beautiful delivery from Parkinson to end a cracking over. Just one off it and the wicket. Dubious as it may have been, that is the perfect start for the Foxes. The required run rate already up at 11.3. Northamptonshire are 1 for 1. They need 214 to win from 19 overs.
Well, almost the perfect start. Well, it was the perfect start for Leicestershire from the very first ball with the wicket. And then just the single conceded from the remaining 5 balls. So, pressure already beginning to build on the Steelbacks. Very, very early days. Vian Mulder, Leicestershire's South Africa international all-rounder, is going to take the first over from the pavilion end. He's going to be bowling to the former Leicestershire player, the Leicester-born Josh Cobb.
Interesting choice. Oh, we haven't seen Mulder open before, have we? I know he's only played, this is only his 4th game.
Can't quite remember, to be honest. I think he has bowled in the power play, but maybe not an opening over. Bowls down the leg side. It's chipped, rather, by Cobb out towards deep mid-wicket. Really seemed to see that a little bit late. Ben Mike runs around from long on to field. Cobb takes 2. Well, that was odd, sort of. Everything seemed to be in slow motion for a minute.
Yeah, it did.
Nobody quite seemed to pick up the ball. The sun obviously getting very low out there. Difficult for the fielders looking into it, that's for sure. Mulder into Cobb, drops very short outside off stump. Cobb tries to cut it away, bottom edges it, Q ends it rather, but still manages to get it into the gap between backward point and short third man, and it runs down to the family stand for the first boundary of the Steelbacks innings.
And that is the danger, that even if you toe end it, horribly time it, don't get it right at all, you can still get a 4 over to that short boundary on the offside. That's why it's a big total, but it's gettable.
Mulder in again to Cobb, squared up, looking to drive straight, thick outside edge, goes out to Rishi Patel at backward point, just about on the edge of the circle, and it's another dot ball, 7 for 1 after 10 balls of the innings, 9 legitimate deliveries. Mulder, light brown hair, turns. Very upright run, goes in and bowls to Cobb, drops a little bit short. Cobb, not much foot movement, plays it firmly, but only out into the offside, where it is fielded by Kimber, I think it is, at extra cover, and there is no run. Break required, 11.5 already, started at 10.7. Lynn yet to score from 3 balls faced, Cobb 7 off 6. Mulder in past umpire Warren, again slightly squared up, or seemed to be Cobb there. The ball's not doing too much, but Cobb looking to hit straight, thick outside edge out into the offside it goes, in a very restrained, shall we say, start on the part of Josh Cobb.
They don't look comfortable at all, do they, the Northamptonshire batsmen?
Don't risk it and say that they haven't kind of really, since the start of the game, that compared to the side we saw at Wantage Road, at the moment they don't look to be quite the same levels of enthusiasm, and that's a length delivery on middle and leg that is just pushed back towards Mulder by Josh Cobb. End of the second over. 7 for 1 is the score at the end of it, so 6 runs from it. That includes that sort of Q-ended boundary down to third man from Cobb. But the Foxes would certainly have taken that after 2 overs of the power play.
So 208 to win for Northamptonshire from 18 overs. If you're just joining us, you're listening to live T20 Blast cricket between Leicestershire and Northamptonshire. Whoever loses this game is out of the competition. Whoever wins lives to fight another day. Callum Parkinson will continue from the Bennett end. He tosses it up and he's hit on the pads as a muted appeal, but that must have been going down the leg side. There is no run. Another dot ball. 7 for 1 is still the score. They needed to go at a big old rate, Northamptonshire, from the very off. They haven't. Parkinson in, bowls to Lynn, who drives nicely, and it finds the gap. It's out to the long boundary on the offside to the left-hander, and so it'll be pulled in by Ackerman, and they will come through for 3 in the end. Nicely run by the Northamptonshire batting duo. So Lynn is off the mark. 3 from 5 he is on. 10 for 1 is the score.
Good relay work. Parkinson following out to the boundary.
The two senior men in this Leicestershire team, really, as Parkinson bowls. Oh, and it's nearly hits the wickets there. Nearly bowled him, Cobb, as he tried to make room for himself and cut it away on the offside. But hit straight into the ground, and there is no run. Parkinson holds the ball close to his chest as he moves in now. He's up to the wicket, he bowls, and that's a horrible hoik out to the leg side. He's going to get 4 for it. Another ugly shot from Cobb, who's dealing in ugly boundaries at the moment, but he's made room for himself, got it away enough, and found the gap to get another boundary. Just keep the runs on the board. Callum Parkinson won't be overly pleased with that, though. 14 for 1 is the score. Cobb on to 11. 201 to win. Parkinson tosses this one up, hit high in the air, down the ground. That is going to be at least 4, and is 6 quite comfortably in the end. Launched back in towards the Gallagher stand on that far side of the ground. That was a nice pickup, and beautifully hit. Sailed just past the side screen. And a steward in a fluorescent jacket comes and picks the ball up.
Given 4? I thought that was 6, wasn't it? Lily's saying he didn't see it. Yeah, no, he's given 4.
Looked like a comfortable 6 to me. There we go. Parkinson up to the wicket, bowls, tosses this one up, driven down the ground, but it's mistimed and off a thick inside edge. Dribbles away out onto the leg side, and that is the end of the over. So there was 12 off it in the end, which is expensive for from a Leicestershire perspective so far. 19 for 1 though off 3. Northamptonshire need 196 to win this game, and they have 17 overs to do it. Let me just bring you up to date too while we're here with that Yorkshire against Birmingham latest. Birmingham 173 for 4 with 15 overs gone. They are on track for a big old score there. Sterling 81 off 41. They've got Hose and Mousley in at the moment, who
so they're looking at 220-230 their minimum, aren't they, really? So that'll be a tough ask of the Yorkshireman in Birmingham. Naveen Orhak is on. The newly capped Naveen Orhak from the pavilion end is into Cobb. Slower ball cut hard out into the offside, but straight to Rishi Patel, who knocks it down basically, and it's a dot ball as a consequence. Saw that one, or picked that one, Josh Cobb, but he also picked out the fielder. He'll be frustrated about that. 16 off 13 for Josh. Looks in good shape at the moment, Cobby, I have to say. Playing both red and white ball cricket at the moment. Slightly open stance, waits as Naveen is in and bowls to him. A slower ball that is clubbed back past, and Chrislin just manages to get out of the way. Running across to his left at long on is Vian Mulder. Safest pair of hands in the outfield as far as the Foxes are concerned. Taking some super catches since coming into the side, including 4 up at Durham, wasn't it? I think in the innings. 20 for 1. Cobb just takes a single, brings Lynn on strike. He's just faced 5 balls so far. The Queenslander, 3 runs for him, just finding his way at the moment. Needs to do so quickly though, as far as the Steelbacks are concerned. Rate required is up near 12 now. Naveen is in, bowls to Lynn, who minimal foot movement, just stands up tall and on drives it in a way down towards a long on. Muscles it almost down towards a long on. Mulder comes running into field. The single is taken. 21 for 1. Naveen Orhak, 26 overs in the competition, 26 wickets in the competition last season. 23 so far in this. Every chance of bettering last year's score. Goes in and bowls to Cobb. Fairly conventional delivery on this occasion. You heard the yes from Cobb as he again went back, gave himself a little bit of room and worked it out towards wide long on. Mulder again been involved. 3 balls of the over so far out of the 4 faced. Fields, single taken by Cobb, 18 to him. Floodlights casting shadows right across the ground at the moment. The entire width of this big Uptonsteel playing area. Naveen is in, slower ball, slightly short. Lynn paddle pulls it around the corner down towards deep backward. Square takes the single. Nick Welsh, the fielder, I think down there, 1 taken. Just the singles from the first 5 balls of the over so far. 4 runs taken. So good so far from Naveen Orhak. 23 for 1. Peers suspiciously at the fielder having come in from the boundary for Josh Cobb. To backward square on the edge of the circle. Mid-wicket is out. Lilly and long on. Naveen is in, slower ball smashed back into the stumps at the non-striker's end by Josh Cobb. No chance for Naveen to get his hand to it and brush it onto the stumps, but it probably saved at least 1 run. The stumps on that occasion. 23 for 1 after 4. Just the 4 runs from the over at this stage. The Foxes were flying. 42 without loss.
Very decent start. You're already getting to the stage where Northamptonshire will be feeling the pressure. They will feel like they need to up the ante, up the run rate, score more boundaries, and that starts to bring wickets into play. If they can chisel down the Northamptonshire batting order slowly but surely, they will win this game. 192 to win then, Northamptonshire. They're chasing 215 to win against Leicestershire. Ben Mike will bowl from the Bennett end. Decent season with the ball. 14 wickets and 8 and over. He runs in towards us now. He bowls, and it's a slower delivery carved away for 4. It's a nice shot from Lynn. Just made room for himself, pushed it off the back foot, and it races away for 4. Bobbles over the boundary rope, and that's where he's dangerous. He's an incredibly threatening player, Chris Lynn, as we saw in the 106 from 66 in the reverse fixture down at Wantage Road in May, or June, wasn't it?
Beautiful piece of timing. Yep, June. It's all been pushed together, the competition this season, but it's worked quite well, I think.
Yeah, I agree. Mike bustles in. He bowls a Yorker, good one, and Lynn does well to dig it out. And he'll get a single for it out to mid-wicket. And runs in from the boundary and chucks it in. It's Vian Mulder out there, the South African. 28 for 1 is the score. The floodlights on, as they always are. They have to be from the very start, even though there is not a cloud in the sky. And Grace Road bathed in sunshine. Plenty of hands across foreheads to protect them from the sun. As Mike runs in, bowls. This one's driven uppishly over the infield. I think it won't. I think it will stop before it gets for 4. Although it seems to have zoomed across. A bit of topspin on that almost, and it races away for the boundary in the end. Cobb onto 22. And he's just finding a bit of form, Cobb, now. Just finding his timing. That was a much better shot. He was onto that quickly. Underneath it, over the infield, in the covers it went for 4 runs. So that is 32 for 1 now. Cobb with 22 of them. Lynn with the other 10.
Has a 70 to his name already so far this season, Josh Cobb.
Mike bowls. A full toss. It goes through Cobb. Dipped at the very last minute, and he looked ruefully back at Mike and his partner Chris Lynn, as I think he wanted and thought he should have got that away. Just the permutations once again. Leicestershire need to win their final 2 games if they're to have any hope of reaching the quarter-finals of this competition. They're on 12 points. Northamptonshire are on 14 but have played a game more. This is their final game of the tournament, of the group stages at least. Victory for them will give them a chance of progressing. Mike in, bowls, and it's driven, and it's going to find the gap. That'll run away for 4-2. There are 2 men in at the covers. There's a cover and an extra cover, but that was both over them and pierced the gap, and that's 4 more to Cobb. And so the score 36 for 1. Cobb now on to 26, and those are 2 very convincing offside drives from the Leicester-born man, as he's setting the pace for this reply for the Steelbacks. That run rate at 11.8 as we have the final ball of the 5th over. So a pigeon flies right across us from left to right. Getting at some pace, that pigeon. Mike up to the wicket now, bowls, and that's another full toss. He can't get underneath it, Cobb, so jabs it to deep mid-wicket. Single taken. That is the end of the over. So 14 off that over. They're keeping up with the run rate and have found a bit of pace now, these 2. Cobb 27, Lynn 10. So 178 to win for Northamptonshire. They're chasing 215 to win here at Grace Road, with the shadows lengthening on a glorious Friday evening.
Naveen to bowl his 2nd over from the pavilion end. Must be feeling the chill a bit. He's got a sort of black undershirt on underneath his lime green top, the Afghan. Which reminds me, I always think he looks a little bit like Virat Kohli. It's just the sharpness of the beard, but there's something facially as well.
Yes,
they're not entirely dissimilar.
Similar hairstyle.
In he goes to bowl to Josh Cobb, who makes a bit of room and tries to club him away on the offside. 360-degree spin from Josh Cobb, having rather clothed it out towards Louis Kimber at extra cover. It was a bit baseball style from Josh on that occasion.
But that pirouette was almost balletic.
He was pleased.
Yeah.
Pleased with that. Josh hasn't always been described as balletic in the past, but former Oakham pupil, of course, and son of Russell, formerly of Leicestershire, and of course formerly of Leicestershire himself, Josh. Who knows, may yet be again one day. Still lives in this neck of the woods, I believe. Naveen is in and bowls to him again. It's hit out into the cover's going to be just short of Ackerman running across to his left at wide mid off. I thought for a minute Kimber was going to be able to get across and get his hands underneath the ball. Cobb picks up one again. Naveen, as he so brilliantly does, took the pace right off the ball. If you heard the cricket show on Tuesday, we were asking Roman Walker and Sam Bates about facing Naveen and picking the slower ball, and they didn't have no. They said, I mean, you just don't, you can't, or it's very, very hard indeed. But Ben Rain was saying first time he faced him, what on earth's going on here? Didn't have a clue. And I still think he's very, very hard. How he hasn't got a 100 deal is absolutely beyond me. In he goes and bowls, and Lynn horribly mistimes one as well. Looks perplexed at the bottom of his bat. He was far too early at that, looking to club it straight through the offside, and ended up dragging it round towards mid on again. Pace off the ball from Naveen. 38 for 1 remains the score. Just the single from the first 3 balls of the over. Just 3 balls to go in the power play. Naveen with the 2 men out on the leg side at deep backward square and mid wicket is in. Bowls to Lynn, full outside off stump. Again, slower ball, driven hard, but Ackerman manages to get across at wide mid off and make the stop. Horrible one. He's sort of holding the inside of his thigh. It bobbled across to him at a rate of knots. Nightmare to try and get your hands behind, but he managed to get something behind. He sort of flung himself down, Ackerman, and made the stop one way or another. Just the single. Lynn 11 off 11, struggling to get going, the Australian at the moment, but he's still there, and while he's still there, there is still hope for the Steelbacks. In goes Naveen and bowls to Cobb, tries to swing a delivery away from the leg side that thumps into his pads and bounces down towards Gully, and the leg by is taken. Stepped back from the stump to try and give himself room. Naveen followed him brilliantly, and it was a good quick-ish delivery. This is the thing about Naveen ul Haq. Although he takes the pace off the ball, a lot of the time when he does bowl a conventional delivery, he's sharp. He's really sharp, mid-80s when he wants to be, if not faster. And when he does push it through, he can make a bat. I'd love to see him play a bit of red ball cricket just to see how he gets on, really, because you can see him taking a lot of sort of county championship wickets and
it's
things
whether
like
he's
that.
fit enough, that's the thing. He should be conditioned for this, won't he?
Exactly, yeah. And also whether he'd want to jeopardise his very lucrative white ball career. In he goes and bowls, and is driven to the offside. Again, I'm not entirely certain Lynn was hitting that exactly where he wanted it to go. It went behind square on the offside, but he got plenty of it on that occasion. So it's the Australian who finishes the over well rather than the Afghan. 44 for 1 at the end of the over and at the end of the power play. That plays 61 for 1, which was the Leicestershire score. But Northamptonshire, with Cobb going nicely and Lynn starting to motor, will certainly not feel they're out of this.
Yeah, 171 needed from 14 overs. The run rate is over 12, but both Lynn and Cobb are in, and a big destructive partnership between these two might seal the deal for the Steelbacks. But Leicestershire still on top and favourites for this. Rian Ahmed will bowl the next over from the Bennett end. He has probably been the star man along with Naveen with the ball. Economy rate of 7.17 from his 45 overs in this competition. That's the best in the team. He's got plenty of wickets too. He bowls his leg spin first up. He slog swept for 6. That's a huge hit. It was in the slot, half volley, and Cobb is onto that in a flash. A loosener from Rian Ahmed, and he is dispatched. The commentator's curse there, Richard, talking about how how tight he is in terms of conceding runs. First ball is 6. Some great form for Rian Ahmed though. 2 for 25 against Notts from his 4 overs, and then 4 for 22 against Durham, where he won the game. Clip of his googly went viral. He's up to the wicket, he bowls, and that's a much better delivery, flatter, straighter, quicker. And it's driven down the ground by Cobb. He'll move on to 35. The 50 up with that 6 bomb from Cobb, by the way. So 164 to win in 13 and a half overs.
Yeah, 6 off the first ball. From the batter's point of view, they can look to work it around a bit, takes the pressure right off.
Wicket could do here as Ahmed bowls this hit into the ground. There's a mini crowd catch. A few thought that he'd lobbed that straight back to Ahmed, but he'd hit it into the ground of the Australian. 90 on his back, wearing the navy and red striped top with navy trousers as Ahmed bowls. Oh, it's inside edge. Horrible shot from Lynn. It's played to Naveen. It's short, fine leg, who collects it with both hands and stops himself from launching the ball in, takes his time, and the ball makes its way back to Ahmed. Single taken, 52 for 1. Lynn on to 16. Ahmed. Flatter. Oh, and nearly bowls him. It's an inside edge, and it's well stopped by Naveen at short, fine leg. Running to his right this time. It was his left the previous ball, and he scooped it up with his right hand to pass it to Parkinson, who launched it in. Single added to the total. In fact, they managed to run round for 2 in the end. Ahmed bowls flatter and quicker again, and Lynn goes back, pushes it towards Ackerman at mid off. That was an intriguing over, I thought, Richard. The 6 off the first ball looked like it might set the tone from Cobb, but Ahmed came back very, very nicely. Got some horror shots out of both Cobb and Lynn in consecutive deliveries, and the end result is that it's 53 for 1. There were 9 off that first over from Ahmed. 162 to win for Northamptonshire to chase down the 215 set to them by the Leicestershire Foxes.
Birmingham's innings has come to an end. They have set Yorkshire a target of 239. If they get it, good luck to them, basically. You can only take your hats off in those circumstances. Callum Parkinson, he held back there because he was beaten in the flight a little bit by Parkinson. Had he gone through with a shot, he would almost certainly have skied one down to long on or long off. But he held back on the shot, chipped it in the air, but only halfway towards long off. That is thumped back to Parkinson by Chris Lynn, but straight to Parkinson, who went down and formed the long barrier, took the ball, stopped the ball nice and cleanly. Dot ball. Jogs in and bowls, and Lynn goes back, gives himself room, makes it into a half volley and drives it away through the offside down to the deep extra cover boundary for 4. Well, did probably just over pitch a little bit, Callum Parkinson, on that occasion, and Lynn doesn't need any more invitation than that. Drove it hard and very, very fast down to the extra cover boundary. Thumped into the advertising hoardings. He moves on to 20. Parkinson is in, drops a little bit shorter, is clubbed by Lynn over long off, just wide of the, thankfully, the cheerleaders. They've got to watch what they're doing, and the leader of the cheerleaders down there looked all a little bit worried there, but she's got some of the girls have got their backs to the play there, and that is not a good idea on the edge of the boundary when Chris Lynn is batting in T20. He moves on to 26. Parkinson is in to him. He backs away. Parkinson follows him. Good delivery that Lynn can only chip down towards long on. Mulder meets it on the edge of the circle running up, and the single is taken. 65 for 1. Lynn on to 27. 12 off the over so far. 1 ball to go. Parkinson in to Cobb. Good full delivery, almost Yorker length, and all Cobb can do is just push it back down the wicket on the offside of the pitch. Parkinson fields in his follow through. So he came back fairly well in the over, Callum Parkinson, but a good one for the Steelbacks. 12 from it, but 12 is what they need. Indeed, they need 12 and a half and over now.
Yeah, and even though they're getting above 10 and over, that run rate is still going up. They're doing pretty well, but not getting enough runs.
77 for 2 Leicestershire at this stage, so they were 12 ahead, but a wicket less.
Ahmed bowls, tracks this down, pulled away for 6. That's a big hit, and it's off out of the ground. That will be going into Milligan Road. Watch out for your cars there, because that has been launched away over the Geary bar for 6 runs. They're using the short boundary to good effect, was Lynn, as he was onto that quickly.
Might need a replacement. They're going to bring out a replacement just in case. I can see the steward has come back. He's got it, and he's closing the gates first before he throws the ball back. But I'm pretty sure the steward has been down to Milligan Road to get it. Just seeing. Maybe not. Maybe it's back.
I think it may be gone. There's a fielder running in from the boundary, Mulder, but he doesn't have the ball in his hands. A big briefcase that looks like...
Yeah, there it is.
Oh, we've got it.
Yeah, it did come back on. So somebody fished it off from a garden on Milligan Road, I suspect, or one of the businesses there.
One of the Leicestershire staff
It'll
came
be
on.
for sale tomorrow in Just Easy Bargains. One white cricket ball, a bit battered.
71 for 1. Northamptonshire catching up. Ahmed bowls and Lynn glances this into the leg side. It'll just be a single to deep mid wicket. 71 for 1 the score. Lynn on to 33, Cobb on to 37. The danger is that these two are in, and what has worried me slightly throughout the innings so far is that there's been quite a lot of uppish shots, hasn't there? There's been some unconvincing shots that haven't gone to hand. Leicestershire haven't got the luck. Ahmed bowls. This is swept and will go 2 bounces to deep mid wicket where Mike fields, and it'll be another single.
He's just starting to find his range now, Lynn, isn't he?
Yeah, and that short boundary to the leg side to the right-hander from Ahmed is looking like it's going to be in play plenty as Ahmed tosses this one up, driven, flash to cover, no run. Ahmed just tightening it up a little bit.
Wants a new bat, he says.
Ahmed. But it bowls this straight down into the ground. That was almost like a pace delivery from Ahmed. And Lynn saw it, cut it, and it was misfielded. Oh, it was actually well stopped by, but not taken cleanly by Patel. And a single is taken. Lynn from 35. Lynn is 35. Cobb now on strike on 38. He reverse sweeps. There's an appeal for a stumping here from Hill, but it was half-hearted. And that is the end of the over. So 74 for 1 is the score. Ahmed recovered well there, didn't he, Richard? After again a 6 off the first delivery from the over. His 2 overs have gone for 18. And when you consider if you took the first ball of both overs, he would be 0.2 for 12. Yeah, the remaining 10 of those 2 overs have been bowled very well. 74 for 1, 141 to win.
Yeah, came out of both of them as well as he could in the circumstances. Ben Mike is going to have a go from the pavilion end. 14 came from his first. He can be expensive, but he can also be brilliant, Ben Mike. So this could either be one or t'other. It's unlikely to be just a sort of 5 or 6 off it sort of over. It's been one thing or the other. In he goes to Chris Lynn. Cuts it out into the offside for 4. Thumps. Oh, good takes her in the crowd as it hit the rope and bounced up to the gentleman in front of the Geary bar. It was a little bit of a long hop outside off stump. He did take the pace off it, Ben Mike, but he did rather set it up nicely on the short side there. Naveen runs down to have a word with Ben Mike. Don't bowl there. I mean, I always wonder what. Yeah. The bowler's well aware that he bowled a bit of a pie on that occasion, but, well, anyway, he wanted to have a word, and he ran a long way to have it. Naveen or Hack. Lynn on to 39, 78 for 1. In goes Mike, bowls short again. It's clubbed back past him by Chris Lynn, but didn't really time it as well as he would have liked, and Ackerman can sprawl across from mid-off, almost behind the bowler by the time he gets to the ball and make the stop. Single taken. Lynn on to 40 from 25. He's approaching 500 runs in the competition. Chris Lynn now. Outstanding effort from the Queenslander, and if you can get them across the line, Northamptonshire will have had, let us say, value for money from him. In goes Mike and bowls to Josh Cobb, who makes room. Mike follows him. The ball is full and thumps into the bottom of Cobb's pads as he tries to turn it into the leg side. Bounces out into the off side, and the leg by is taken. 80 for 1, and that is the partnership between these two. They came together second ball of the innings because Ben Curran was dismissed the very first. He was given out leg before wicket to Callum Parkinson attempting a reverse sweep. Given out on aesthetic grounds probably as much as anything. It just didn't look horrible. In goes Mike, and again he's following the batter Lynn, who steps back to make room, and a good delivery from Mike. It's very full and it goes underneath
Chris Lynn's bat between him and the stumps, and it is stopped by Lewis Hill away to his left. Good from Ben Mike. 80 for 1 remains the score, approaching the halfway point of the innings. Plenty of wickets in hand. Jimmy Neesham to come as well. Mike is in, drops short, and Lynn clubs it out towards long on, and it bounces over Vian Mulder, who completely misjudged it. He was going to run in and try and get his hands underneath the ball, Mulder. Then he decided he wasn't, and he was going to stand there and stop it. He came to a dead halt. The ball bounced about 3 feet in front of him and then leapt over his head on this rock-hard outfield. So 4 runs, a bonus runs for Chris Lynn, who initially stood stock still. He thought he'd hit it straight to Mulder, I think. Picks up 4.
Did that right in front of his head coach as well. Paul Nixon was standing right behind Mulder.
I emphasise again, he's got probably the best pair of hands in the Leicestershire side, Vian Mulder, when it comes to outfielding. Mike is in. Lynn again makes room and hits it very, very high for a huge 6. Wow, that was a beautiful pick-up and hit, and the people on the Burrows Terrace alongside the commentary box here are pointing behind. It has bounced off the roof and into the factories behind the ground. That will have to be replaced. What an end to the over as far as Chris Lynn and Northamptonshire Steelbacks are concerned, and what a way to go to yet another 50 for Chris Lynn. Well played to the Queenslander. His 50 has come off 28, which, given the problems he had at the start of the innings, is astonishing, really. 90 for 1 off 10. The Steelbacks chasing 215 to win. They are firmly in this game.
They are indeed. 125 to win from 10 overs. So I was just thinking then, Richard, just as he was about to bowl Ben Mike, as long as he doesn't hit this for 6, Leicestershire will feel in control. At that stage, it was 84 for 1. Leicestershire still 10 runs ahead at this stage. There's a wicket fewer. And after 30 overs of cricket against Northamptonshire this season, Richard, Leicestershire have taken 3 wickets.
Foxy Phil on social media, geez, we need a wicket.
Yes.
Or some wickets even.
Cobb 38 off 31, Lynn 50 off 28. He has rocketed along. He was going at less than a run a ball for the first 10 balls or so. It is Cobb to face. Mulder will bowl. His first over went for 6. He'll run in toward just from the Bennett end. We've got a tight finish on here as Mulder bowls outside off stump. That's wide. Yeah. I think he thought that Cobb was going to go across his stumps, and he didn't. Cobb won that little face off.
498 runs for Chris Lynn now, averaging, well, he was averaging 64. He will now be nearer 70. 2 centuries and now 4 50s for the Queenslander.
That's what your overseas player needs to add, isn't it? They need to get you 400 runs, and Leicestershire just don't have that. Here comes Mulder, outside off stump again, and this is driven, and it's going to be a chase on for deep cover, but it's a comfortable one in the end. And so 2 runs is the result. The run rate has started to go down. It's down at 12.4. It was down at about 12.8 or 9 a few overs ago. 93 for 1 the score, 122 to win. I think the match situation is relatively simple, Richard. If these 2 stay in for a long time, Leicestershire may well have had it. They need a wicket. The crowd trying to get behind them. They're banging on the advertising hoardings down to our left.
Outlaws are out as well. The Harleys down Milligan Road.
Mulder bowls again outside off stump. That is within the blue line, though. That is the tactic from Mulder. He's aiming wide and full outside the off stump, aiming for the long boundary out to our right, the offside to the right-hander.
Parkinson and Patel at short third, well, 2 short third man, almost as Northamptonshire posted. Ackerman kept finding the sort of gap between the 2 of them, didn't he? But it is, as you say, clearly the plan, very full outside off stump.
Mulder in, bowls again full outside off stump, and it's driven straight to cover. They scamper through for a single, 94 for 1, but this might be the tactic. It's a very sensible one. It's working at the moment. 4 off the first 3 deliveries off the over. 121 needed to chase down 215 to win. First time Leicestershire have got 200 in this years T20 blast. He ran his 215 as well. Great 80 from Colin Ackerman. Mulder bowls, and this one's hit high up in the air. It's going to fall short of the fielder. I thought that was going to travel all the way to the boundary. There's a deep mid wicket and a deep long on, but it was well short of them. Landed almost just outside of the ring, in all honesty. So a single just taken. Lynn onto 51, Cobb onto 41.
Amazing how he got it over there from 2.5 feet outside off stump. Well, not quite that much, but
plan pretty obvious. As Mulder bowls his penultimate ball, it's driven again straight at cover, and they run through for a single. Leicestershire will be all right with that. He's bowling so wide that it's essentially impossible for the batter to move across their stumps and whack it away on the leg side towards the short boundary.
And in fairness to Mulder, everyone has been exactly, with the exception of the first, which was just too wide, has been exactly where he wanted to bowl it, I think.
Mulder running in from the angle. He's going to go wide on the crease here. He's up to the wicket. He bowls, and this one is hoiked straight and flat with one bounce to long on, and there is a single added to the total. So 7 off the over. That's a great over for Leicestershire. They've stopped the flooding of runs somewhat. 97 for 1 is the score. And Mulder's done a good job for his side there. At this stage, Leicestershire were 110 for 2. And
not much in it.
There's not much in it.
I think Duckworth Lewis. Duckworth Lewis is they should be at 105 basically. So we're going down. Could be going down to the wire here, folks.
Could be a thriller as well. 118 to win Northamptonshire. And 97 for 1.
Rehan Ahmed is into Chris Lynn, who stands up tall and thumps it out into the offside. Louis Kimber runs around from long off, fields on the bounce and throws to Ahmed. The single in the previous over, by the way, did take Lynn on to 500 for the competition. Now 501 for him, 98 for 1. Josh Cobb, who's not been becalmed of late, but he hasn't been able to find the boundary as Ahmed is in. Tosses one up to him. He drives. Again, Kimber is in the game, forms the long barrier down at long off. Nice and calm and good from Ahmed, as it was good from Mulder in the previous over. As a consequence, the rate required has gone up to 13.5 almost already. 99 for 1. Ahmed is in. Lynn is hitting very straight indeed for 6, just over the ropes, bounces once and then into the sight screen it goes. Again, sort of minimal exertion from the batter Lynn, but hit it very straight, and he's so strong. The forearms he's got the forearm of butchers, hasn't he, basically, and just really thumped it back without a great swing of the bat, but great foot movement. And a very, very strong straight hit indeed. Ahmed drops shorter, goes back this time, Lynn, and pulls straight down towards long, and then looks suspiciously down at his bat and gives it a little bump of the fist as he runs down to the non-striker's end. Cross with himself for not getting that out to deep mid-wicket instead. He moves on to 60, 106 for 1. Ahmed is into Cobb, who pulls a short ball for a huge 6. Lilly can't get there. He gets underneath it, but then all he can do is look back as it soars into the members' seats between the pavilion and the meet. An expensive over. 2 6s in it. Rehan Ahmed. This is tough for the teenager, but he's a very mature young man. 112 for 1, and he won't panic, I don't think. But so far, as I say, the over is a horribly expensive one as far as he and the Foxes are concerned. 15 from it as he goes in and bowls to Cobb, who drives out towards Kimber, and it bounces through his hands. He got both hands to it above his head. It bounced a long way before him, skipped and bounced off the surface, burst through Louis Kimber's hands over the ropes at long off. And well, Leicestershire had an over in which they took 17. Northamptonshire have now just done more than that. They have taken 16 and 3, 19 from that Rehan Ahmed over.
And they're up to pretty much par. Leicestershire were 119 for 2 at this stage, so 116 for 1. You would think just above the rate on Duckworth Lewis as well. It's that key wicket, and it's this key partnership too, worth 116, that could be decisive.
Leicester at this stage 119 for 2.
They need to end this partnership. 99 to win with 9 overs to go. That run rate is down to 12.4. That was a big blow for Leicestershire, that last over. Mulder will continue. Will he bowl it full outside off stump again? He's up to the wicket, he bowls, he does bowl it, and it's chipped over the infield behind square for 4 more. Brilliant shot. He saw that coming and launched it over the top, and I saw Rishi Patel lean backwards in anguish because this is getting away from them.
It's the risk. You know, if you're going to bowl that line, I think you have to have a third man.
Yeah.
Especially if you're bowling it as consistently as Mulder. You've got to have someone, because that can always happen.
Tense this now. As Mulder comes in, he bowls, and this time it's outside. He's given a wide. Yeah. See, Lynn is still reaching for it, but there's not a lot of room for error, because he can get it, Lynn, pretty much about where the blue line is, which signals where it's going to be a wide. And if he goes outside of it, which he did then, if Lynn can't reach it, it's probably going to be a wide. So another added to the total. 121 for 1 is the score. As Mulder comes in, he bowls, and again this is chipped, and again for 4. They need a third man, because that's where the ball has just raced down to. There's 2 men there. Lewis Hill calling for the ball. I'd be stunned if somebody doesn't go down there, but it doesn't look like they are. Rishi Patel and Callum Parkinson are going to stay there. The men on the boundary at the moment are at deep mid-wicket, long on, deep cover.
There's a deep backward point,
yeah.
Which I understand.
Parkinson
but
is going back now.
You've got to have it. You've got to take, you know.
As they've worked out a tactic for him. Lynn 68 off 35. Mulder comes in and bowls. This is driven. And again, the tactic is now just slightly different. You can see it already from Lynn. He's looking to drive that now rather than chip it over the infield for 4 runs. 125 for 1, 90 to win. In what is going to be a fascinating game here, it's going to go down to the wire.
9 off the first 3 balls.
Chasing 215 to win. Mulder runs in now, the South African. He bowls. This is hit in the air. Is it going to be caught? It is! Big celebration from the Foxes. They have got the big wicket of Lynn. And Mulder's tactic of bowling it outside the off stump has finally paid off, as he got it on the full toss, and Lynn just drove it with minimal foot movement. It was caught at mid-off, and that is a key moment in this game. The destructive force of Chris Lynn has to depart with his bat under his armpit, and it's 125 for 2 has the door opened, with 90 to win now with 7.2 overs to go.
Yeah, well batted Chris Lynn, 68 off 37 balls, 7 4s and 4 6s for the Queenslander. Another, maybe even 3 overs might have really put Northamptonshire in the driving seat, but that wicket just the right time as far as the Foxes are concerned. Still plenty to come for the Steelbacks. Jimmy Neesham, the main man, as far as those to come are concerned, is coming out to the wicket now, but has that just put the balance back level, so to speak? It was beginning to tip towards Northamptonshire.
I think so. But Neesham is such a quality player. 75 for Northants the last time these 2 teams met at Wantage Road earlier on in the season. 204 runs in 9 innings. Big character, big on Twitter. Got a big following, known for being quite humorous on social media. Second overseas player for the Steelbacks. So now the field will change. There's a third man again. We've got a fine leg, deep square leg, and deep mid wicket. Mid off, mid on, backward point and cover. As Mulder comes in, he bowls and beats him outside off stump. Hands above heads from Mulder. I don't think that was nicked, was it, Richard? I don't think so. It was, I think it was just
inside the bat.
Yeah, Mulder getting some lovely movement. It was spilt by Lewis Hill, who did very well, to be fair, because the ball had moved off the seam. down towards the leg side.
I think it's a flat one at Edgbaston, because Yorkshire are 52 for none off 3.5.
Okay.
Chasing 239 to win. So they're still in it as well.
Mulder runs in towards us from the Bennett end. He bowls and it's driven down the ground by Neesham. On it beats the fielder and rushes away for 4. Perfect timing from the New Zealander. And I thought Ackerman might be able to grab it. He couldn't. It was bobbling and bouncing all the way. And so that over just ends with a bit of a sour note. But the wicket fell. Neesham 4 off 3. Cobb 53 off 38. They get rid of Cobb and they will feel they're right back in this game. As it stands, I'd say it's 50-50. 86 to win for Northamptonshire in 7 overs.
Well,
So
13
balls.
off it, 129 for 2. Leicestershire at this stage, 128 for 2. So absolutely nothing in it. 7 overs to go. The captain, having batted so well, is bringing himself on to bowl. Well,
He's always reticent to bring himself on, isn't he?
he's a little bit unwilling, but this is his sort of pitch, and you would hope that Ackerman, who's conceded just 6.8 runs per over so far this season, might be the key man. As a big swing and a miss from Josh Cobb. Lewis Hill is convinced he'd moved his back foot, but no. Hill is, who is a very mild young man, is absolutely disbelieving. He cannot believe that that has not been given. He's tossing his helmet from... He's got to be a bit careful, Lewis Hill. Leicestershire have not to make any obvious shows of dissent. They have penalties hanging over them in this competition as well. So they do not want to be deducted points in the competition. Ackerman is in to Cobb, who swings him high into the air. Has he got enough on it? Mulder is underneath it, takes the catch and long gone. So Josh Cobb, having survived an appeal for a stumping the previous delivery, launches one into the air, the next one into the hands of Long. On it goes. Mulder does not miss it, and do those 2 wickets swing the balance very firmly back towards Leicestershire? I think they possibly do. Neesham is still there, but it's 129 for 3.
Lewis Hill was still talking about that wicket as he ran over back towards the players. He was still talking about that to his teammates, but that's a key blow. And fortunately, whether or not it was a stumping, we don't know, or whether it was or not it was as out as Lewis Hill thought it was, we don't know. But fortunately, it didn't cost them anything. Cobb was the key man. They've now got 2 men in at a vital part of the innings with 40 balls to go. They still need 86 to win. I think that just swings the pendulum towards the Foxes, but it's still not over yet, because the new man in, Saif Zaib, is the in-form man. 10 against Yorkshire in their last game, but 92 and 74 in the previous 2 innings before that.
Yeah, 2 high-quality batters at the crease now, but they've both got to get themselves going. And what Leicestershire did well, or the inning, how well the innings worked, was that Ackerman was a sort of constant factor. He was in almost throughout. Round the wicket he goes and bowls to Saif Zaib, who leans forward and plays it, drives it firmly back past Ackerman down towards Mulder, who never moved a muscle when he took that catch, did he? Absolutely straight to him, took it, both hands pointing up in front of the chest, never looked for a second worried in any way that he might just spill it. 130 for 3. Ackerman is in onto the legs of Neesham, clipped with beautiful timing out to deep mid-wicket, but Ben Mike has a good pair of hands down there, takes it as the ball skips across the turf towards him, gets his throw away. Neesham takes a single on 2-5. The crowd is noisier now. Ackerman is in, down the wicket goes Saif Zaib, and throws the underarm throw from the fielder running in. Lilly, I think it is, out there. Zaib went through with the run anyway, and Ackerman wasn't able to take the ball cleanly behind the stumps at the non-strikers, and he was throwing with his wrong hand, I think, Lilly there, with his left hand, and it did rather skew the throw. Ackerman is in, bowls outside off stump, hit back towards us, and it's going to go over the... Oh, gentleman down there almost took the catch and almost had his glass knocked out of his hand there as well. It all got a little bit, could have got a bit dangerous down there. But
you can't see the ball
hit.
if you're walking behind there,
Well,
can you?
I don't know quite how he managed to do that, whether he was trying to... Anyway, he got lucky. Neesham didn't, because that was a beautiful straight hit for 6. He moves on to 11 off 4, 138 for 3. And if we thought those 2 wickets of Messrs Lynn and Cobb put Leicestershire back on top, well, Jimmy Neesham and Saif Zaib have got other ideas. 138 for 3 after 14. 9 from the over in the end. They are now ahead of the game. Leicestershire are 131 for 3 at this stage.
77 to win. From 6 overs. It's going down to the wire on BBC Radio Leicester. And Callum Parkinson returns at the Bennett end to bowl to Zaib. Comes in, round the wicket, bowls a straight delivery, tossed up. And it's clipped away down to long on. And a single is taken. 139 for 3. This is great stuff, great entertainment, all in the balance for both teams. They have to win.
Yorkshire 66 for none after 4.4.
Oh dear. Parkinson bowls down the leg side. There's an appeal for a stumping again, and again the square leg umpire is unmoved, and so there is a wide called as Neesham was unmoved, and so it was down the leg side.
He missed them at the first attempt, didn't he? It was his second boom boom. Might have made the difference.
Parkinson round the wicket, left arm spin. He comes in towards us. He's up to the wicket. He bowls. And it's driven down the ground. It'll be fielded comfortably by the man running in at long off. 140 for 3. 74 to win. So as long as they stop the boundaries, the run rate over 13. It's creeping up again. But as Richard said, the score's pretty much dead level. As a reverse sweep hit on the pad, appeal for over 4. Look at, he's given. LBW was the appeal, and it's given, and Parkinson has gone wild out there. Huge fist bumps, pumps, and he's joined and mobbed by his colleagues as Leicestershire get a key wicket, and it's Zaib who went for the reverse sweep. He chucked it down and on the full hit him on the pads, and that is the wicket that they wanted. Neesham is still there, but Zaib has to depart. 141 for 4, and again a new batter has to come in. The target 74 runs away for Northamptonshire, and 5.5 overs remain.
Second LBW to attempted reverse sweep against Callum Parkinson, and that looked pretty straight to me. I had my doubts about the first one, Ben Curran, but not so many about that one.
Yeah, that looked out. We're behind pretty much, we're behind the batter, but it looked in decent line. Well, Leicestershire again swing the pendulum in their direction.
Rob Keogh comes out to join Jimmy Neesham, who holds the key now, you really feel, for the Steelbacks. He's probably going to have to score a 50 to get them over the line, get them close anyway. And Rob Keogh, no mean batter, of course.
Parkinson, 2 wickets already. He's up to the wicket, tosses this one up. It's slower and glanced away on the leg side. They'll look for 2. They won't get it, though. It's well fielded by the man running in from long on. 2 for 29 off 3.4 overs for Parkinson.
8 innings, best of 36 not out for Keogh this season, averaging just 23 as a consequence, in as much as, excuse me, averages mean anything in T20.
Neesham, 12 not out, faces Parkinson and sweeps him brilliantly for 4, paddle sweep, and finds the gap, and that's the problem. He is so in form, he's got such quality and experience that he will find the gap, and Parkinson's line just straying a little bit too leg side. He moved that front leg across, got down on his got down and swept it round the corner for 4. He's on to 16, 146 for 4. 69 to win. Parkinson drags this down, hit high up in the air, uppishly, fielded brilliantly one-handed on the bounce by Aaron Lilly, who misjudged it, I think, at first, but was racing round and stopped the 4. Just a single added then with Neesham on 17. He'll keep the strike. 147 for 4 at the end of the 15th over. We've got 5 wickets left in this game, which is win or bust for either. 68 to win in 5 overs. for Northamptonshire. They need to go at 13.5 and over to win it.
They do, but they are 5 ahead of Leicestershire at this stage. Leicestershire were on 42 for 4. Northampton won 47 for 4. Neesham, he's only faced 7 balls, but he's timed the ball as well as anybody in the match so far. Beautiful shots from Jimmy Neesham.
Richard keeps very good notes, I should explain to the audience. I'm looking at these overs here, Richard, in the Leicestershire innings. 11, 17, 15, 12. That was where the Foxes were able to push on. And if they keep it tight, and if they keep taking wickets in particular, and that is how they can make the difference.
Vian Mulder, swapping ends again, is going to bowl his final over of his 4 from the pavilion end. 1 for 26 for Mulder so far. Round the wicket he goes to Neesham. Bowls very full outside off stump. Neesham drives very firmly, only as far as Lilly at long off. Good to see Lilly form the long barrier, not just reach down. And he's a brilliant fielder, Aaron Lilly, but Leicestershire fans will recall, Northamptonshire fans may not, that he made a horrible fielding error when Leicestershire looked like they were about to qualify for finals day at Trent Bridge against Northamptonshire a couple of years ago, as a consequence of which they lost the match on a tie in the end, having lost an extra wicket. Back over the wicket goes Mulder and bowls down the leg side to Keogh, who tries to help on his way. I don't think got anything. Yes, he did get something on it. Hill sprawl to his left. Couldn't get there. It bounced a long way short of Hill. Down to the fine leg boundary for 4. So that's a real bonus as far as Keogh and Northamptonshire are concerned. And Mulder looks a little downcast as he turns. Brings up the 150 for the Steelbacks, 152 for 4. Keogh on to 5. Just the 2 balls faced for Rob Keogh. In goes Mulder and bowls to him. He drives very pleasantly and correctly. Ackerman doesn't know where it is. It hits his foot, and as a consequence, they're going to pick up an extra run there. Ackerman went down, didn't form the long barrier. It thumped into his foot, bounced high over his shoulder. He didn't know where it had gone. And Louis Kimber, running up from long off, completed the fielding. Poor fielding from the skipper, but he's in credit at the moment. Colin Ackerman still comfortably having both batted and also bowled pretty well to get Chris Lynn out. Mulder is in 2. Keogh again is driving very nicely out towards cover Ben Mike as the ball bobbles and bounces, manages to get something behind it. 2 runs taken nonetheless. Keogh on to 9. It's breathless stuff. 156 for 4. 9 runs from the first 4 balls of the over, but the rate required is 13.5, so basically still need another 4 off the over, or preferably 5 for the Steelbacks to stay up with that rate. Mulder is in and pulling a slightly short ball, clothing it slightly though is Keogh out toward deep mid-wicket. Nick Welsh comes in and field 1 is taken. Keogh on to 10, 157 for 4. Remember, 215 the target. 214 if they only lose 4 wickets will do it. Mulder tosses the ball from hand to hand. He's going to go round the wicket to Jimmy Neesham, who can win this match for the Steelbacks. In he goes, bowls to Neesham, drives it back very hard past the South African. In comes Aaron Lilly from long off and throws on the bounce to Lewis Hill. 1 is taken. Neesham keeps the strike. 157 for 4. 10 from the over, but 10 means that Northampton have now just fallen slightly behind in comparative terms, because after 16 overs, Leicestershire were 159 for 4. And Northampton 158 for 4. Oh my word.
This is so tight and so tense and so exciting. You're listening to BBC Radio Leicester. You're live on the Leicestershire stream too. Welcome to Northamptonshire and Leicestershire listeners on there as we go down to the wire in this T20 match as the sun sets to our right over Ayleston. Jimmy Neesham is the key man for the Steelbacks. He's 19 not out, and he's going to face Naveen Ul Haq. 2 overs, none for 10. He's their key death bowler. Brilliant at keeping it tight, the main wicket taker as well. Incredibly open stance from Neesham as he faces the Afghan, who runs in towards us. Big over this. He bowls his first delivery. It's a slower one, dragged back in terms of length into the pitch, and they just go for a single as Parkinson slightly messily fields. He gets the job done, but falls over and lands flat on his face in the process. But he's done what he needs to do. 159 for 4. Neesham onto 20. 56 to win from 3.5 overs.
Trying to work out who's going to bowl the other overs. It looks like Rahan Ahmed is going to have to.
Yeah, I think he is. It's going to be Ahmed or Ackerman.
Yeah, because could. Oof.
But his 1 over went for 9, didn't it? And there was a 6 off that, so he kept it pretty tight. But still, Naveen turns. He takes a few steps forward, a few steps back, as he so often does in his run-up now, and he gallops in. He really does gallop in as Naveen bowls wide outside off stump. Brilliant delivery, brilliant stuff, because he saw Keogh move over towards the leg side, and he launched it hard and fast down through to Lewis Hill, and that is a dot ball. 159 for 4, then still 56 to win. Lovely atmosphere in the crowd tonight. Decent numbers in as Naveen. Up to the wicket, past the umpire, bowls, it's hit high in the air, it's going to land short of the field, and they'll scamper through for the single. Shot at the stumps is a very good one, and they're going to try and run through for second. They are. There was nobody backing up. It was very good fielding, I thought, from the man at cover, who launched it right-handed at the stumps, but nobody was backing up. Naveen wasn't at the stumps either, and so they get another. So Keogh on to 12, 161 for 4.
Yeah, Mulder it was, but his throw was a bit wild, in fairness, and everybody on the leg side is so far back. He had so far to go.
Naveen bowling with the short leg side boundary on the leg side to the right-hander, which is the bulky and burly Keogh, tall man, as Naveen turns. Gracefully waits with bated breath as Naveen runs in. He bowls again outside off stump, bit of in swing, and it's a dot ball. As it's full, and it's always such a difficult ball to play, that the Yorker outside off stump, and there was a big flash and a big waft by Keogh, but he couldn't get to it. 161 for 4, the score remains, 54 to win.
It's becoming the key over this, isn't it? Because the rate required has now gone to 16. 4 boundaries and over.
54 off 20. 2 balls left in this Naveen over. Bob's on his legs, does Keogh, as Naveen bowls to him, and it's a slower ball that is clothed down the ground, just a single to the Northamptonshire middle order batter. And Neesham will face the next ball. If they can keep Neesham off strike, that will be a good be a good result. It's just, you feel like 60-40 in Leicestershire's favour, maybe?
Maybe a bit more than that now. But if Neesham's still around and one of the spinners is bowling, that could swing it back again.
It could do.
We shall see.
Final ball of Naveen's over. He's just gone for 4 off it. This could be key. If he keeps it tight, doesn't concede a boundary here. Naveen in, bowls, and it's glanced down the leg side. It will just be a single to Neesham. Parkinson fields well, and they can't go through for the second. So 5 off the over. Brilliant from Naveen ul Haq. So 163 for 4 is the score. At this stage, Leicestershire were 174 for 4. So Keogh on 13, Neesham on 21. The Steelbacks need 52 off 18 deliveries if they're going to win this game. That run rate is up at 17.3 and over, but it is still not done yet.
No, they need a 20 over, don't they? 20 plus over the Steelbacks. Ben Mike is going to be entrusted by the Foxes to bowl the 18th over, and it'll be bowled obviously from the pavilion end. He's going to go around the wicket to Jimmy Neesham, who is 21 off 11.
Yorkshire 88 for 2. They've been pegged back slightly.
Hard to keep going at these sort of run rates, 17.3 rate required from the final 3 overs of the innings. But if anyone can do it, Jimmy Neesham might be able to do it. Changing the field, Naveen ul-Haq runs around from sort of short fine leg to backward square on the edge of the circle. Other men out mid-wicket, long on, long off, extra cover as Mike is in, and Neesham clubs him down the ground towards Mulder at long off. This time he judges the bounce to perfection, takes it two-handed, and Neesham has to settle for 1. He looks despondent, Jimmy Neesham, head down, as he realised that it is just the 1 on this occasion. Wanders down, has a quick word with Rob Keogh, the 2 touch gloves, 164 for 4. Foxes, well, single off each ball, they win by a mile. From here, 2 a ball wouldn't be enough. In goes Mike and bowls. Keogh tries to thump him away, hits it hard down into the ground. It runs through the vacant mid-off down towards long off. Louis Kimber runs in to meet it. Again, it is just 1. Good from Ben Mike. Singles from each of the first 2, from both the first 2 balls of the over. None for 31 from 2.2 for him. Mike turns, jutting elbows, runs in, bowls to Neesham, who launches him for a huge 6 over mid-wicket and into the crowd. Is it going to hit the concrete? It is, and bounces, but it doesn't go through the railings onto Milligan Road, I don't think.
No, it stayed within.
You can see somebody in the crowd.
Yeah, they got somebody in the crowd.
Oh, somebody had thrown it back to one of the stewards. And back it comes, but a lovely pick-up and a lovely big hit by Neesham keeps the Steelbacks in it. 171 for 4. Neesham on to 28 from just 13.
So 44 needed from 15.
Still behind on Duckworth Lewis, which has the Steelbacks on 180 at this stage. 171 for 4. Need a couple more of those in this over, though, the Steelbacks, but if they get them, well, we've got 1 over to come from Naveen, haven't we?
Yeah.
Mike in again to Neesham, full toss, club for 6 again, even further this time. Bangs onto the roof of one of the canopies over there on top of the red seats to the left of the pavilion as we look out, and that's consecutive maximums for Jimmy Neesham and Ben Mike, having bowled the first 2 overs and conceded singles from the first 2, and that was all, has now conceded consecutive 6s. 177 for 4. Said it's going to go to the wire. Looks like it's going to, still behind slightly on Duckworth Lewis, but no, now only slightly. Neesham 34 off 14. Oh my word. Ben Mike, none for 43 from 2.4. Needs to get this one right. Runs in. Bowls. Neesham very wide outside off stump and will be signalled wide, and is. That was almost a genuine wide. Scrapes at the crease. It was right length delivery, almost sort of Yorker length, but it was horribly, horribly wide outside off stump. Desperate to keep Neesham away from that sort of short side, being able to club one away over the short side of the ground.
The over started so well, but has fallen apart.
2 balls to go, 2 legitimate deliveries. Mike is in again. It's wide. Neesham clubs him away into the offside. It's going to bounce short of Nick Welsh running in from the backward point boundary. Neesham has to settle for 1. Might have taken the throw on there. It was a long way to throw it for Nick Welsh.
I think
good
he wants
70
to keep
yards,
the strike,
but
Richard.
He does, but there is still 1 ball to go in the over, so Keogh's job now to get a boundary one way or another. 179 for 4, coming to the end of the 18th over, so 13 legitimate deliveries left, 36 runs needed from them, I think.
Yeah.
In goes Mike and bowls. Trying to ramp is Keogh and he's bowled. He misses it. Stepped across to the offside. Mike delivered a full delivery. Couldn't get underneath it, Rob Keogh. His stumps are disturbed and he marches off in a way that was, it had to be sort of 4 or nothing really, 4 or out in a way. And it was out as it turned out for Rob Keogh. He goes for a decent 14. He's sort of kept his side in with a slight sniff. But the man who's keeping them in with more than a sniff is Jimmy Neesham, 35 off 15, 179 for 5 off 18. Leicestershire at this stage were 186 for 5.
So, well, I think most importantly, Richard, probably the most important thing about that wicket was it was a dot ball. 36 needed to win off the 2 overs remaining. 36 off 18, 2 a ball needed. And it's Jimmy Neesham to face Naveen ul Haq, whoever bowls that final over. And will it be Mike? It could be. He's bowled 3 overs for 41.
It's either him or Ahmed or
Ackerman. I'd imagine it will be Mike, but we shall see. So then, this is a key battle. 2 big heavyweights of the T20 Blast going head-to-head. Naveen ul Haq and Jimmy Neesham. Neesham on 35, Naveen with 3 overs for 15. From the Bennett end then, Naveen comes in, he bowls down the leg side and he's pulled away. It should just be a single, out to deep backward square leg. Neesham off strike and the crowd are applauding, I think for that reason alone, that Neesham is at the non-striker's end and that McManus will face this next ball. Diminutive figure, the wicket-keeper. This is Ted's great stuff on a Friday night. 180 for 5, 35 to win off 17.
Yorkshire 130 for 2 off 10.
They should waltz that from there.
Incredible.
And that would be pretty much it, wouldn't it, for Leicestershire? Regardless of what happens here.
Would not help.
It'd make things a lot more difficult. Naveen then for the second ball of the over. He's bowling to the right-handed McManus, who bobs his knees, and Naveen bowls. It's a dot ball, and you can tell McManus almost ran through immediately there. They're just looking to get Neesham on strike. It went straight through to Hill, and there is no run. 180 for 5, so 35 off 10.
Almost all over now, isn't it?
Oh,
really?
Don't say that, Richard.
Yeah, 35 off 10 with McManus on strike for the next delivery.
Yeah.
Leicestershire have got this now.
And of course, the key thing again is that the leg side is the short boundary. So as much as they can have McManus on strike at the moment as possible. To Naveen, their best bowler. He holds the ball close to his chest and gallops in as the Afghan. He's up to the wicket, bowls, and it's driven. And it finds the gap. It's racing away. They'll get at least 2 here. Will they run back for 3? That's what they'll want. They're tasting the arm, and they have got 3. Brilliant running. It found the gap behind square on the offside, just wide of backward point. And McManus has done his job very well indeed there. 3 runs from that delivery, and that takes the score to 183 for 5. 32 to win off 9, but Neesham is on strike against ul Haq.
The thing is that he has to be there for the last over as well, doesn't he? So yeah. He hasn't just got, he's got to club Naveen away to the boundary, but not get out as well. You know, not take a risk in a way.
Gorgeous evening in Leicester as Naveen runs in. He bowls outside off stump, it's hit. There's a full toss. This could be a no ball. It was was a no ball. It's just been given as such. It was high. It was about it was probably about armpit height, wasn't it, Richard? And that means that we are going to have a free hit. There is the lasso.
Goodness.
Awful time to bowl that from Naveen.
Yeah.
But he's a calm head, and so Neesham can be run out, but that's about it.
That is about it.
So Naveen then, for this free hit, this won't count towards the ball tally. There's still 9 left. Regardless of what happens here, Naveen bowls down the leg side and it's glanced away. Ahmed fields on the fine leg boundary and it is just a single and Neesham is off strike. So that is well, apart from a dot ball, that is a solid result. But even then, he's off strike for 2 more balls.
Yeah,
well, 1 or 2 more balls. So
probably the best possible result, rather almost better than a dot ball in a way to get him off to strike and McManus on it. Nice work by Rehan Ahmed down there.
Lovely
Very
dive.
Calm.
I love this attitude, Ahmed, for such a young man, 17 years old.
Just doesn't get flustered at all.
29 to win from 8 balls. McManus on strike, Naveen to bowl. He runs in towards us now. And it's a slower delivery that goes through McManus over the stumps and is a dot ball. Hale runs back towards Naveen, who stands there waiting to receive the ball. What's the cut-off time? 9:25, so they have 1 minute to get this last over in. They've got to be quick.
A bit less, actually.
And they've got 10 seconds, haven't they? So they probably won't do it. Are they going to get a 5-run penalty?
No, you lose a man in the. You've got to bring another man into the circle now.
Naveen up to the wicket, he bowls, it's hit high up in the air from
no
McManus.
Ball.
It's another no ball, perhaps. Will it be taken? No! It's dropped, or it slips through the fielders, but the no ball is signalled, and McManus will get another go. So they got 2 runs from that delivery.
I'm sure that's it, but he has to be taken off now, doesn't he? Somebody else has got to bowl the last ball. I think he's got to come off now.
Yeah, so it's still a no ball, that's being signalled. Someone else is going to have to bowl the final ball of this over.
Ahmed's going to bowl the final ball of the over.
Goodness me. So just to clarify the rules there, if you bowl 2 no balls on height or 2 full tosses on height that are above the requisite height, then you are taken off. So Naveen has taken his jumper and run away. And dearie me, so he's got to, there's still 2 balls left essentially, isn't there? There's the free hit.
Another twist.
Another twist. So 25.
No, there should be just 1 ball left. Is that right? No. Because this is the it's a free hit, but it's still a legitimate delivery.
Ahmed comes in, bangs this one down. It's hit for 6, I think. Yep. Down to deep mid-wicket, and McManus has launched that, and that is a key blow. So, what an over! The sublime, the ridiculous, the ludicrous. Goodness me, what was Naveen doing there towards the end of the over? And Naveen's final ball, he ran in, chucked it down almost like a pace bowler, and he got launched into the stand. So here is the situation, 19 to win, and Neesham will be on strike for the final over. That ended in the worst possible way for Leicestershire, who I would say, if Naveen had bowled that last ball legitimately, and it had gone for a single or a 2, that's Leicestershire's game. But now we are talking about a tight finish here on Radio Leicester. McManus on 11, he's off strike. Neesham 37, he is on strike. 196 for 5, chasing 215. Off the final over to be bowled by Ben Mike. Northamptonshire need 19.
And I think they're too late to start the over as well, so I think they have to bring an extra fielder into the circle, the Foxes. We'll wait to see, because there's all sorts of conferences going on out there at the moment. But as I said, well, we haven't had too many close finishes one way or the other in the T20 competition so far this season. The Leicestershire Foxes, this looks like it's going to be exactly that. Colin Ackerman is out there, can take all the time he wants now, because Leicestershire didn't meet the cut-off time. So I'm pretty sure that they have to have 5 in the circle now. Indeed they do. So those men, they're all behind the bat. At third man, these are all on the edge of the circle. Short fine leg, backward square, backward point, excuse me, and mid off. Ackerman's going wider towards extra cover. So long off, extra cover, long on, and mid-wicket are the 4 men out, not 5 men out. Jimmy Neesham is on strike. Short boundary on the leg side. Ben Mike bowling over the wicket to the left-hander. Mike is in and bowls full outside off stump, clubbed back very straight for 6. A full toss just outside off stump. Neesham just stood and delivered, smacked it back over Mike's head. 6 runs. Well, what did they need? 35 off 10. All of a sudden the game has swung back towards the Steelbacks. 202 for 5. Neesham 43 off 19. They need just 13 off 5 balls.
How could this game get away from them? It's those 2 no balls and those 2 free hits, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely killed the Foxes. Oh, threatening to absolutely kill the Foxes. It isn't quite over yet. Neesham on strike. Mike is going to go around the wicket to him. Bowls, and it's full outside off stump, steered down towards Backle Point. It'll be just the single on this occasion. He's saying run, he's saying run, and he is going to be run out. McManus, it had to have Neesham. McManus just stood there and like a turnip, didn't move, having run 1. Neesham was running towards him shouting run, run, run. I've got to be down that end. McManus wasn't going, and then finally realised, and well, he didn't even run, just walked towards the pavilion. The run out was affected, so just the single from the ball, but it does mean that Neesham keeps the strike. 4 balls remain. 203 for 6 is now the score.
It's not a great vote of confidence in your teammate where you run him out.
Had to. And why McManus didn't sort of think about that, I've no idea, but he just sort of stood there having run 1. He couldn't understand why Neesham was running towards him, but he had to do it. Tom Taylor's coming out to join Jimmy Neesham, but Neesham will be on strike for the first of the final 4 balls, needing to hit 11 from them for an extraordinary Steelback victory, which keeps them in with would keep them in with a chance of going through to the quarter-finals. Yorkshire 145 for 4 off 12.2 overs, chasing 239. It's in the balance at Edgbaston as well.
It's all going down to the wire. It's a great slower ball from Mike to start it all off, but it's all about Jimmy Neesham now. 44, 12 to win off 4 deliveries.
Wanders around Neesham, bat on his shoulder, takes guard with that open stance. Mike is going around the wicket to him. In he goes and bowls very full outside off stump, driven through extra cover for 4. Lovely shot from Neesham in the end. It was very full. It was almost a Yorker, but just too far from Ben Mike, and he clubbed it away through extra cover. Ackerman, Leicestershire's captain, dived away to his right, couldn't get there. It crosses the ropes down there at extra cover for 4. 207 for 6. They need another 8 from the final 3 balls, the Steelbacks. 8 from 3.
Well, this has turned on its head in the most dramatic way.
Nobody has left the Uptonsteel County Ground. Nobody in their right mind has left the Uptonsteel County Ground unless you can't quite bear the tension. Some of the Leicestershire supporters perhaps feeling that way, watching or not watching with their eyes, hands over their eyes as Mike is into Neesham, driven hard back through, long on, should get across there. Louis Kimber makes the stop, he's going to pick up 2 though, Neesham, and he runs down to the other end, moves on to 50. What an innings it's been from Jimmy Neesham. 210 for 6 or 49. No, he's on 50. I'm sure he's on 50. There he is. Yeah. The scoreboard gets it right in the end. The electronic scoreboard moves on to 50 off 22, but half century not even acknowledged by Neesham, because with 2 balls to go, 5 runs needed by the Steelbacks for the win. No, for the draw. Is that?
Yeah, 6 to win.
6 to win from the final 2 balls of the over. The scoreboards at the moment not agreeing. The manual scoreboard has got that slightly awry. It has it at 200. There we go. It's clicking towards the right score, which is 209 for 6. Neesham is batting miles outside off stump now as Mike is in. He wants to try and swing him on the leg side. He bowls very well. That's a legitimate wide and will be signalled a legitimate wide. Neesham, although batting across, Mike steered it very wide of off stump, but it was actually outside the white line, let alone the blue line, and that has to be signalled wide under those circumstances.
And that was great batting, really. It's great mental pressure from Neesham because he was standing, as you say, he was basically standing. Well, he was probably guarding on 4th stump. And he forced Mike to bowl it wide because he's saying to him, I'm going to smack you over the short boundary on the leg side. Ackerman just having a word with the umpire, I would imagine, to say what's the protocol here.
I'm getting hammered for saying that Leicestershire had this one, but they did. 35 off 10, you've got to win from there. Mike into Neesham, very full outside off stump. He's hit it down into the ground. It's going to trickle out to mid-off. Got to go for the second, and he is going to be run out, Tom Taylor. And that means
I think Neesham's out.
Oh, is Neesham out?
Yeah, I think Neesham's out because Taylor crossed past him, and there's been a couple of words at Neesham there. Goodness me, there's quite a lot of anger there, all between both sets of fans here. Dearie
well, Aaron
me.
Lilly's having a lot to say about it. He's being pushed away by Tom Taylor and told to go away by umpire Russell Warren. I'm not sure what Lilly's getting too worked up about under those circumstances. Umpire Warren is talking now to Colin Ackerman as well. Lilly is pointing all sorts going on. Neesham is walking off in despair. 210 for 7. That we know is the score. Neesham is run out for 50. Taylor 51, I beg your pardon. Taylor lost his head a little bit there. He didn't think that one through. So they need to hit a 4 from the last ball to win the game, the Steelbacks. Tom Taylor won't be on strike. Graham White will be on strike as far as I can tell. White is going to the striker's end. And the umpires are now speaking to Aaron Lilly, and the Foxes have got to be really careful here, because I say again that they have a possible reduction in points hanging over their heads in this competition if they are reported for an offence again. Lilly needs to shut up here and just walk away, having taken his lecture from the umpires Richard Illingworth and Russell Warren.
Well, there was obviously something said. I don't know whether Neesham said it. I don't know whether Taylor said it. I don't know what happened. Either way, that was a pretty ugly episode. Bizarre period of play. What a final 2 overs we've seen. Pretty much everything that we could have imagined. Great ball from Mike to get to just a single off it. But Taylor, the look, I should explain to the listeners, by the way, you will have seen this on the stream, the look that Neesham gave Tom Taylor as they crossed and he ran past him. Taylor obviously thought, let's take the gamble and go for the second. And Taylor had crossed with Neesham, which meant that Neesham was out because they threw it to the wicket-keeper's end. And that, because of course, if they'd thrown it to the wicket-keeper's end and Neesham had got towards the other end and Taylor hadn't crossed, it would have been Taylor out. So
3 draw, 3 for the tie, 4 for the win for the Steelbacks from the final ball. Mike mustn't bowl a wide or overstep. He's looking very nonchalant, Ben Mike, at the moment, with his sort of feet crossed and with his arms folded. Colin Ackerman is talking to him, and Leicestershire's vice-captain, Callum Parkinson, is talking to him at the moment. They are bringing in the... Long on is coming in now, Vian Mulder, but he's just coming in for a chat, I think. They do have to have 5 in the circle, the Foxes, in this over, remember, but now they can take all the time they want over this final ball. Deep backward square, Welsh is being summoned in, so they have sent short fine leg down to long leg. So the men out are at long leg. No, Welsh is being sent back to deep backward square. Long leg, deep backward square, mid-wicket and long on. Everybody on the offside Is it inside the circle? No fielders on the offside, so Ben Mike has got to bowl this down the leg side or at the legs or at the body of Graham White, essentially, and try and make room here to carve through the offside. There is no fielder on the offside. Ben Mike is into Graham White, bowls, White drives straight down the ground. It'll be just two. Mulder makes the stop. They complete